Hey, we synchronized that, huh?
What's happening?
Hey, welcome to another whole class. This is going to be a really, really good one. We're going to start this process off aggressive right away. So this is about to be a real fun class. Good business week. Shabisha's not going to be with us. I think Shakina's going to do the reading today. Shabisha's actually at a conference for retail sales. And you know what's it's interesting? I was talking to her for a second. I just want to share this with you guys online. She was saying that this is specialty foods, and there's a conference where people who take in who are the buyers for small stores, who place people on the shelves, design the whole ecosystem around specialty foods. As at this conference. So it's really like, it's like the conference, if you're trying to put a product into the market, it's a conference you want to be at. And she was saying, like we was going over a lot of things they were discussing and a lot of strategies, right? And one of the things we were discussing was, she said there's these individuals who are really talented at getting people ready for prime time. So they can get you from concept to actually on the shelves and functioning, right? She said, but you know what their hardest challenge was? What? People's ego.
Oh wow!
She said, he goes when they try to provide. Hey, look, I've been saying this shit for quite some time. She said, a lot of people who come there, when they try to give them feedback, they can't receive the feedback. And the company said, we're so talented at what we do, if we sense you can't receive the feedback, they move on to those who can. So a lot of people, not the best product grabs everybody's attention. A lot of times, the person that is rewarded by the greatest level of support are the people who are humble enough to receive the feedback, right? And this is what we've been explaining to folks is like, when you first start a business, like we said earlier, you have a huge ego. And then once you receive early funding, all I'm doing is solidifying your ego. So once I solidify your ego, it's hard for you to take the necessary feedback. To be strictly honest, and this is something, talking to a young man at the gym. This is all going to tie to our lesson. We're going to move fast. But real quick, I was talking to a young man at the gym. And I was saying to him, I said, if I gave you $3 million today, you more than likely couldn't keep that $3 million. I said, and the reason you couldn't keep that $3 million is because if you earn that $3 million, the lessons you learn, those lessons allow you to keep that money and know how to invest that money. Know how to spend that money, know how to interact with that money. I said, number two, by you taking a long journey of growing, you actually develop relationships. So for example, if I fall off of millions, I fall to all my relationships and I'm back up tomorrow. You fall because you got that money overnight. You didn't build the relationships. You're going straight to the cement, baby, right? And so people don't realize that the journey you go on, you're ensuring your path, right? Your relationships, your knowledge, your know-how, your connections, your brand, your reputation, all that is growing as you stay in business. If you become rich overnight, you didn't build any of that foundation, right? So when you fall, you're just gonna fall. And so that's one of the things that people don't understand. Like, that's why I hate all these quick rich, get rich quick, or somebody's going to reward you with success, or somebody's going to invest in you and help you achieve success overnight. You don't realize if you bypass those relationships, human relationships, if you bypass the experience, the knowledge, if you bypass the market insights, right? The how to navigate, right? How to invest your money, how to move your money, understanding competition, your knowledge you gain from interacting with the market and learning your customers, right? If you bypass all that too quick, if you start over, you're just starting over. For me, if I start over, I have a wealth of resources that says I will move in like super speed, where you'll move very slowly like you were always going to move. So I think a lot of times we think, when I say business takes a little while, we think we're going to suffer from point A to the day we're successful. We don't realize that we're accumulating so much wealth in relationships, knowledge, skills, culture. There's so many things that we're gathering that we just lose, we lose understanding. So it's just interesting just watching some stuff I saw this week and how folks are really attracted to this get rich quick thing, not realizing it's hard to sustain. It's hard to sustain. If you get rich quick, other thing when you get rich quick, when you're selling products to the customer, you learn the attitude and the nature of the customer because at the end of the day, you don't eat unless you sell, right? If you don't eat, you only eat if you sell, then that means that now you even learn the way your customer breathes. Because you realize, if I don't sell, I don't eat. But if you get rich quickly or you get overfunded early, you never get a chance to learn that customer's rhythm, that nature of your customer. And so you don't even know when a customer just changed. You don't even know when a customer just left and a new customer showed up. Because in the end, the only customer that exists is the customer in your mind. And that's just crazy to me. Mm-hmm. So it's just, moving slow has such a deep value. It's insane. Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely insane. Yeah. Anyway, you ready to get to this first slide?
Let's get it. I like the first slide. Period.
That's hella tight. By the way, those of you, go back to the first slide.
Go back to the first slide.
Yeah. I just want to say, for those of you who are new to this class, Danielle, we designed these. So this is a black class. Like, we some black folks. We doing what we do. What about me? Yeah, you too. You are Jewish black too. But anyway, you're black as far as concerned. We'll roll with you. But the thing. Could you stop? You act like black people. You talk too much. Anyway, so just here you go. So here's the thing. So when we designed this class, we wanted to celebrate black culture. So when you see the images online, we're celebrating our culture. A lot of times we're fighting to be seen correctly. And so in a lot of these slides, Danielle, our designer at 510 Media, she puts a lot of thought into designing slides that kind of inspire our culture. So you're going to notice there's a lot of artwork, and a lot of this artwork was shot by 510 Media itself. So just as we move through this, Kevin Allen's one of the photographers, Scott is one of the photographers, Cola was our commercial photographer. All these individuals are poured into some of the creativity, and Danielle's poured into creativity. So this first slide, Unthinking and then turning it upside down, is just cold. It's cold.
It is. I want to talk about it because a lot of times with entrepreneurship, we're going after knowledge. We're always learning. We're uncovering, we're digging, we're adding to our toolbox. We're getting more, we're getting more. It's good, but this journey is different. And what's different about the journey is not just what you gain, but it's also what you let go of. So this class, this course, over the course of the year, is all about learning how to think, but it's also just as equally learning how to unthink, how to let shit go, how to let things go, how to let certain thought processes in your mind go. And it's a lot of unthinking, a lot of undoing that we have to do. So you can't have an ebb without a flow. You can't have a give without a receive. Like the way this universe works is always the push and the pull, the plus and the minus. And growth involves, it's unlinear. So if you looked at the chart in anyone who took a long entrepreneurship journey's growth is not a straight line up a hill. It's a peak, and then it's a little valley. Then it's another peak, and it's a little valley. It's just a little less than it was before, because a lot of that stuff is dumping, what you're dumping off. Old values that you don't need no more. Old beliefs that your parents taught you or your mama taught you or the hood taught you that is unnecessary for your growth. So be on the lookout for what to unlearn just as much you on the lookout to what to learn.
Great. Let's get to that first slide. And also, I want to double tap on that later on, maybe in a future class when we get into some neuroscience. Just to let you know, neuroscience and psychology are not in alignment. Neuroscience is the study of the brain. Psychology sometimes is still plagued with a lot of old beliefs that are not true. And so when we get into some neuroscience, I'm going to show you how cold, what Court just said, how dope that really, really was. So for those of you who missed that, please rewind and go back and listen to it again, because that's actually a very, 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 very powerful statement you just made. Is this one of your jackets, by the way? Okay.
Old school.
Okay. I just want to go over the addiction thing real quick. It's going to be real brief. So last week we talked about, receiving intervention a lot of times can create addiction to the intervention. And one of the symptoms, I'm not sure if I really applied enough focus on, is that the numbing. When you become addicted, you become numb. What I mean by becoming numb, you become numb to the customer. You become numb to competition. You become numb to the market. Think about this. You go into this room and you get used to somebody giving you money all the time. And what you're doing is you're not turning to the customer to eat, you're turning to the funder to eat. And because the funder is funding you, especially in your early stages, when people start their business, all you have is, I think this is a good idea. That's all you really have. It's not like you hang out with everybody. Even if you hang out with 30 people in a city of 7.5 million people, in an area, a county of 7.5 million people, that's nobody, right? So you have your 30 people you hang around, and maybe even those 30 don't agree with you that your product's a good idea, right? It might be 3 of the people in that circle said, that's a great idea. So now you start to write up your business plan and you're doing all this formal work, and you're really excited about, I'm about to bring this product. You go get your product branded. You hire a branding firm. They design your packaging for you, and you go online. You show your friends. You do a cool little photo shoot of maybe Tone Vic, doing this famous peace sign, holding your product. You're thinking, oh shit, Tone got my product. I know I'm famous now. And then all of a sudden you get that social media feedback, right? You think, okay, I'm rolling and everything's happening and everything's going really, really. Oh man, it's just, a celebrity just walked in the house. Wow. Look at her. I ain't seen her in a long time.
How beautiful.
So you think you're rolling, and that's normal. And then you decide, I want to raise money. And you haven't tested the market yet. You haven't even built a relationship with the market. You may even went to a trade show and sold maybe 30 items, right? Or 40 or 50 items. But you didn't realize at the trade show, people are just looking for places to spend money. They wouldn't regularly buy your product, right? They're not gonna go home and look at your website and buy any more product. But at that space, they're like, I don't mind spending, exceptionally amount of, extra money for this, or I just want to support this person, or, oh, you're really cute. I want to buy your product, right? Whatever it is, right? And so you are convinced at this point, you understand the market. But if you stayed in the game and you open up a store and you realize only thing that's coming through your door is air, you all of a sudden realize, oh, you don't have it. So then you start to adjust and you start to tweak your product, and you start to go out there and put yourself out there and push past your limitations and past your ego. And all of a sudden you'll start to learn different things about how the market works, and how you think and how the market works are two different things. But if I fund you too early, you never have to leave your building. You never have to test your market. If 10 people come in your space a day, but the funding covers your bills, your ego is unthreatened, it's unchallenged. So a lot of times when you receive funding or too much funding, I'm not saying you got funding one time or 2 times, right? But you kind of got used to like, oh, I'm getting grants, I'm getting nonprofit funding, I'm getting investors, but you still haven't sold anything. In this game here, you have to learn the customer. Even if somebody's supporting you, intervening, they're not going to be there forever. And the reality is that when they leave, you're probably even more numb than you were if you just had a direct relationship to the market. So whether you know it or not, by you becoming addicted, they're underqualifying you to run your business correctly. And I promise you, your ego's going to make you point fingers at everybody. Oh, the customer's tripping. Oh, they're hating. Oh, the landlord's tripping. Oh, the vendors are not getting the products to me on time. Oh, I don't like these products, I don't like this. None of that is their fault. All of that is on you, and you would have learned that if you had to fight to eat. But if you don't have to fight to eat, then it's easy to say, oh, the reason I can't get this wall painted because this dude didn't show up on time. But if you have to hire somebody every day to eat, you'll realize, oh, you don't know how to pick the right person. You don't know how to create the right kind of contract. You don't know how to ensure and create redundancy or create some type of way of guaranteeing that this job gets done, whether this one person can do it or not. You're hiring an individual instead of hiring a corporation that has higher accountability, right? You wouldn't know that if everything's easy for you. So the numbing process of addiction to outside funding is making brilliant people produce weak outcomes. So you may be like this. I don't think there's anybody that's hearing my voice that's sitting at home listening to this class that's not intelligent. I just don't, it's hard for me to just say, okay, you're stupid, you're smart. I think that's a silly game to play. I think the most unintelligent person can be the most brilliant person, and sometimes the most brilliant person can do the dumbest things, right? So I think that's a horrible way of measuring it. But your ego can make you seem like you lost your mind. Your ego. I had a group of guys call me one day. They were selling some clothing. They said, Nana, I know last time we called you, you said our ego was too big. You said we had a horrible product. But this time, dude, I had somebody professionally come out and do our business plan. And I'm telling you, best business plan in the world. I'm telling you right now, we're going to have the dopest product on the market. No, I'm telling you. I just need to get with you so you can see how great we are. Everything I just said is not possible. What is a great plan? You realize everything's random, right? Tomorrow's unpredictable. A perfect plan is imperfect by default. A perfect plan is imperfect by default. All plans are imperfect by default. Number two, you have the best imperfect plan. I just want you to say that to yourself. I have the best imperfect plan. Can't. You can't. Number three, even if your perfect plan was the best perfect plan, right? It has no value to your relationship to the customer and will they buy your products. And if they buy your products, it has no insight on your ability to then run your business and continue to provide access to your customer and be able to expand access to customers further out and handle logistics. It has no insight on the way you manage your money to stay in the game when competition decides to attack your space. See, it becomes more and more complex. But if you think business is just this very binary 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, you're in for a great surprise. That when you're sitting in this class, you're practicing multiple disciplines because when you're in business, you're going to at some point tap into different disciplines to survive. Mm-hmm. You don't get to just do what we call business, which is accounting, sales, and blah, 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 blah. Sometimes you're just doing psychology all day long. Sometimes you're trying to measure the patterns of movement of society based upon historical insights and trying to move past your mental limitations so you can see more. And yeah, we don't have a sheet that shows some of those things, but anybody who's run a business for a long time, it's not just doing 5 steps or 10 steps or, when you have a job, that's how you move. I got to do this, then I'm off. And I might change a couple things here and there, and I'm off. As an entrepreneur, you got to remember everything's always changing. Everything, not only the path you're driving down is changing, but then there's competition coming from nowhere, constantly trying to threaten your position. Some of them intentional, some of them unintentional. It could be like culture just changes, and that's a competition that just changes everything for you, right? It could be your vendors can threaten your business. Your own employees can threaten your business, right? There's government can threaten your business. Environment can threaten your business. Like literally, crime could threaten your business. And you don't get to blame crime, government, the air, competition, and say that's why I failed. That's a game you signed up for. Now, if you have a job, you can say that. But when you're on this side of the team, you don't get to have that excuse. Those things will then separate those who are ready for this and those who are not.
And it doesn't mean, because if you have an idea, doesn't mean you don't write it down. You write it down. You got an idea about a business or a vertical in your business or a concept. You get it on paper. You get it on paper, your best work. But you got to know that this is a hypothesis only. It's a hypothesis only. If you're comfortable with the idea that what you dumped out and felt so good writing down, if you are conscious enough to know that, hey, I know this is literally like a rough outline of what it's gonna be, then you'll be all right. But the minute you start saying, this is gold, this is it, eureka, we got a business plan, then that's where it gets bad for you, because the moment that reality starts to veer from the plan, the minute that starts to happen, that's when the low self-value in you and the fear of rejection in you starts to activate. And you're like, oh shit, it's not going to the plan. Oh shit, it's not going to the plan. Instead of thinking about, oh, this was just a rough outline. I'm throwing that out. I'm pivoting here. I'm throwing this out. I'm adding this. I'm creating a whole new system, and you're constantly upgrading, evolving, and updating that. That's where it's dangerous. Business plans really are just brain dumps of what you think, like the best case scenario that's in your mind now, knowing that shit. Like every business plan that I've wrote in my life, it never came out like I wrote it down. Now things happened, but it was just a rough, like, here's east, here's west, here's north, here's south. Where you want to go. The business plan is basically what direction you want to go in, and that's it.
Yeah, business plan is an intent, not an expectation.
Yeah.
So where you intend to go, but set no expectations around it, because you can't really plan for some place you've never been. Matter of fact, when I plan with the understanding that I am going to discover on the journey. Mm-hmm. I plan with the assumption that I'm going to be wrong every day, and the faster I can be wrong, the faster I can learn. But what I don't do is embrace a business plan like I have to make this come true. The goal of business is to be flexible, to move like water going down a hill with pebbles and rocks. It continues to figure its way around, but it doesn't take a straight linear path. It figures out whatever's necessary to achieve its goal to continue to go forward, right? And sometimes you may decide, I want to go east, and east actually gives you insight of why you need to be going north, mm-hmm. right? Because then you discover on your path of east, oh, north is a better idea. Mm-hmm. But when you what we've seen in business is some people lock in on this business plan idea of I have to get to the east, mm-hmm. and they will never see the opportunities that are rising up from the north.
Hey, that's the biggest issue. It's like I was watching this movie called Looper, and Looper was about people who hitmen from the future, and if they got funk with somebody in the present, they'll send a hitman back in the past to kill them back in the past. So dope ass movie concept, but the interesting part reminded me a lot about entrepreneurs, and it was the boss from the future called one of their hitmans in the past because they wanted to talk to him. So he brought him up to the future, and they're sitting in the room talking, and he's like, "Yeah, I see you studying French," and he's like, "Yeah, I'm studying French. I want to go to France." He's like, "Go to China," and he was like, "No, I want to go to France." He's like, "Dude, go to China." And he's like, "No, I want to learn French." And he's like, "I'm from the future, man. Everything's going to China. Go to China." And dude was so stubborn because he thought his mind, the world was, everything was moving to France. And that's how we are as entrepreneurs, is we'll write a business plan. Business plan is to go east. And somebody on the east side will say, "Nah, dude, go north. Everything's up north. I've been there." And we're like, "Nope, my plan says go east. I want to go east. That's where I'm going." And fucking we'll die on the vine in the east. We'll be on our last leg dying and be like, "Ain't nobody helping me. The system's fucked up. They hating on me." Not realizing that you got a bone thrown to you. You had direction. You just was stubborn. And that's what happens all the time.
Yeah, I go to your point last week. Next slide. Let's get into this. This is going to be fun. All right, quick question. I want to allow this up to the class, and we can move them. We have some microphones out there. Good. Is there any thoughts? And listen. If you give your thought, let's keep it under 30 seconds, because I know some of y'all are winded. Some of y'all can go into straight preacher mode. Think this is your opportunity to audition for America's Got Preachers. But anyway, point is this. So Keith Lee, I wanted to hear your thought. We're from the Bay Area. Most people in the classroom. I'm sure there's some people from the Bay Area listening. So there's people online. You don't have a system, huh? Wow. Okay, Do we have somebody monitoring online? Can Josh or somebody monitor online? You guys, anybody do that? Oh, okay. You can? Okay, cool. So if there's anything you think we need to raise up to the class, just lob it up. Your thoughts on Keith Leaf coming to Oakland? I want to hear from you guys, because this is I'm listening for a business conversation. You know, I don't want to hear like, oh, he didn't even come to my spot. Look, your place is trash. Cut it out. But I'm saying is that it may not be trash. Just that's me. Y'all know me. I'm gonna say don't waste my time with these small talk. Anyway, any thoughts on Keith Lee? Anybody want to volunteer their insights or input? Or okay, we got the first person to start. Hey. If it's green, talk. Go ahead.
For me, I respect his decision and the way he did things because he has the power to make and break a business. Mm-hmm. So I respect the way that he didn't throw some business under the table and some businesses he did give the praise to, but he wasn't looking for big businesses, small mom and pops.
Okay. Anybody else? I got a tie over there. So pass the tie. There you go. Okay, there you go. Look at that. We got microphones.
Check 1 2 1 2.
Yeah, you know you had to do that. Yeah. The Barry White. Yeah, the one with the tie. You better not come with no high pitched voice to that. Hi, what my thoughts was.
Check 1 2 1 2.
I think I've hit puberty because my voice is
Whoa,
gotten
there you go, baby. There you go. Bring that bass on. Hey, there go the Temptations right there. Go ahead.
Is it okay? Okay.
There you go.
As I started to check out social media and hear.
We haven't drop offs. Hold on a second.
Hand them the other mic.
Pass him the microphone because I want to. I don't have a drop off for the microphone. Go ahead.
Okay. Good. Yeah. All right. As I started to listen in on all the opinions of what was going on with Keith Lee, it was surprising because my thought process is that he's not from here. He came here. He has consistently been an honest and straightforward person without any objective other than to give his opinion. And it has streamlined into this whole thing where people are like jumping on what he says and making it truth, right? He came to the Bay and he saw something that was, to him, completely like out of place. And he did the Bay, I think, he gave the Bay the utmost respect and said, listen, this is not a place for me to be. I started to take this journey on getting all this, doing the restaurant thing. But Oakland got bigger issues. And I think he was feeling like those issues needed to be addressed more so than that business. And he put it out there and people are offended by it, which I think that they put their emotions ahead of what the reality of the situation and the concept of what he was actually trying to get people to understand. Sorry for over 30 seconds.
Oh, that's okay. I need you to do it.
Can I tap in?
Yeah.
Go ahead, Shakina. No, go ahead. Was it in rebuttal to this?
Yeah. Go ahead.
Okay. I was just going to say that I think that a lot of people were uncomfortable with their dirty laundry being aired. I think that we are very comfortable with only showing the good sides of us and neglecting the things that we don't want to see in the shadows. And so people were being very, well, it's not mine, or if he would have came here, but not realizing our responsibility as a collective, as a whole of Oakland, is to say, these streets ain't cool, this is out of control, and if I want to get defensive about what's going right, I need to get defensive about what's going wrong. So.
Okay, yes, okay. Go ahead, Tom.
Okay, I'm going to keep my 30 seconds. Without going too much into, because I agree with what Ty said, I think what Keith Lee said and how he said it, I think he said it very eloquently. And after reading a lot of people's comments on Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook, I think we live in this world. I so thought of class and I thought of Ego as an Enemy so much because I thought about the feedback loop. And I felt like the majority of people's comments were based on the fact that he gave his opinion on, I don't know the word other than, I'm gonna just say negative. It wasn't negative, but I can't think of another word, right? So everybody seemed to the general masses were seemed to be attacking, like, oh, well, he a hater, or he this, he should have never came here, did that and the third. People love to hear praise, but they hate to hear criticism. And that was my biggest thing with it. It was like, damn, when are people going to take accountability? He's basically saying some things that, like, are factual and or true. If he was just praising everything, everybody be like, yep, that's my spot, yep. Yeah. But the moment somebody said that he mentioned in a very good and eloquent way that, you know, maybe I wasn't going to talk about this, or maybe this isn't ready for people yet, he just got bashed. And I was like, damn, people can't even take feedback. So that was the main thing I took away from that situation.
Microphone. There you go. Go ahead.
One of the things I found interesting was at the same time that happened, the CEO of JP Morgan?
JP Morgan, yes.
Also said that San Francisco needed to look at itself as a destination. You didn't hear quite as much outcry. There was some, but not as much. Sometimes it matters who says it to you, and it shouldn't. But when he said that about Oakland, I mean, you could say the same thing about Vallejo, where I'm at. And I think about, from a business perspective, safety, people traveling, and what makes businesses able to thrive in that environment. And the thing that just kept coming up was that radical responsibility. There are times when there's graffiti outside my building, trash on the floor, people sleeping outside, because the entrance to our building is on a high ramp. So it's away from the street, and people can feel safe sleeping there, but they're not always gone when it's time for work to start. Me and my other suite mates have actually asked people, hey, can you move? When the property managers are like, call the police. Yeah, they're not gonna do nothing. It's
Right.
like 5 cops in Vallejo. So
And 2 donut shops.
exactly, right? You hope they don't. There's a lot of mental illness on the streets. You hope that they don't. But if you approach people right, most of them just go, okay, sorry, and move on. And so that's what came to mind for me, was like radical responsibility. How do we as a community come together to make, all I can do is make my little space better and then move outward from there. But it has to start with the community that I'm in, and then we spread out.
Okay, gotcha.
I think a couple of things. I think the Bay Area got caught flat-footed, even though we had notice. I think we optimized for spot checks, celebrity spot checks. I think we over-anchored on getting ready for Keith Lee instead of looking at if we're ready for the day-to-day needs of the customers who are here and in position to be your repeat business.
Wait a minute, who's that? Oh,
That's
stop.
Kaja.
Stop, wait a minute. Hold on.
No,
Hey, hold
keep
on.
going, Kaja. She flaming.
Who let Kaja? Look, what is
Yes, that's
this,
Kaja.
This is Kaja. This is Kaja
2.0.
This is Kaja twin.
I told you I got healed.
Go ahead,
Go ahead, Kaja.
Go ahead, Kaja. Go ahead. We can just go sit back and just listen.
I think we got off lucky, given that we could have killed the man with anaphylaxis. We sent him to the hospital with an allergy. This could have been a very different story.
Yep.
And I think that Keith Lee is not grasping the fact that, thankfully, he's outgrown his business model. At 17.5 million followers, the sneak attack in the car process is not it. He would have had a better experience if he had curated the visit, come inside, sat down, and made his analysis. I think he came here with a model that he has outgrown, and maybe he didn't realize it was outgrown until this happened.
For his own safety. Go ahead, Tone. Go ahead. Yeah, no, go ahead. That's what business is disagreements. Okay. Is it? Are you sharing?
Just spots. I can talk loud. I can get both. Let me take 2 mics.
Okay.
All I need is 2 mics. The only reason I that one. No, right. The only reason I disagree with that a little bit is because
Turn one of the mics off just in case. I don't know. Maybe it's.
Only reason I disagree with that a little bit is because damn. We just talked about this. I think his business model does work, but it depends on where he goes. Somebody else who we won't name made a post and they was like, y'all put y'all ego and all this stuff on giving him suggestions on where to go. He had suggestions on where to go. And his whole business model is to kind of give attention to the smaller businesses, the smaller restaurants, right? There's a ton of those pop-ups and things like that out here. I think that business model still does work. It was probably just the wrong selection of spots that were not curated, but were suggested for him to go to by reputable people that and I'm assuming here, that he got those suggestions from. Like if you tell me, you from New York, if you be like, hey Tone, when you hit New York, go to X, Y, and Z. Me trusting you, I go there, but then when I'm there, I'm like, man, I'm only here on behalf of Kaja, when really I should have listened to Gabby because she's been in the food scene for X, Y, many years, and I should have listened to her suggestions. I think maybe the suggestions that he got, because of our egos, it's like, yo, I need you to go to Court Spot because, man, that's my boy. He been making burgers since high school. Just because I like his burgers, I know what I'm trying to say, but that's the only reason I disagree with you. I think his business model still does work, and he has a little bit more, he's just getting to where he's trying to be. He got many more years to do the same thing that he's doing right now, but it depends on who he's listening to and where is he getting these.
Pass.
Yeah.
One more.
Yeah,
No,
yeah.
same mic. Well, yeah. Just do one microphone because I think they might be on the same signal. They might be on the same code.
It's like a
No, they're on the same number. So you guys change the number of one of them. So just turn one off and give me the other microphone. I can change the number.
Hello. Okay.
Go ahead.
So first of all, I'm gonna say shameless plug. So we already had this conversation, me and Kaja. First of all, on the As Told By podcast. But I'm also gonna say that this is actually bigger than just Keith Lee. This has always been bigger than one person coming to a business. Has been, a lot of different businesses that aren't necessarily prepared for their own customers anyway, and they're not prepared for anyone showing up to their businesses and saying, look, this isn't working. We don't like the thing. Like I went to one place where they were serving food on paper plates and charging $35. Like, yeah, who does that? But people do that because there's also a scarcity mindset. They want to make sure that they're, out there running a business, but they don't know how to run a business. They know how to cook. So there's a lot of different factors going into it, and it's not just the Bay Area. Atlanta experienced it at the same
everywhere.
time. Louisville experienced it, like a lot of different places, and black businesses particularly, because we like to do a thing and then turn it into a business.
So one that's an excellent point. I would also let me highlight.
Yes.
Oh yeah, online. Okay, so pass me the microphone up.
Brielle, Mike lady.
Yep, that's my job for today.
Look at that ownership.
Do you mind if I? All right. So Jordan online says, I think he highlighted underperformance on a business level and a city level, which may be something locals have to become numb to. And then Tawana said, the issue that I found insightful was that he is a food critic, and he considered that he commented on a condition in the Bay Area, and it was the expectation that he would stick to food and not come in and commenting on an issue that most people in the Bay Area. And then there is the question, is he a part of the solution? Should he have to comment?
Okay. So those last two responses.
I love this dialogue, by the way.
Huh?
I love this dialogue, by the way.
No, that's so. By the way, in business, let me say this real quick. So the women of hope, the women in this class are some powerful women. The men in this class are some powerful men, right? And you guys don't have to put your power on trial in debates, right? Arguing is necessary for innovation. Arguing, and the way we argued in this class was superb because you never said, Kaja, with your boogie down sweatshirt, which by the way, that's hella tight. You should have got me one. I don't know how you can be selfish like that, but we'll get over that later on. We'll talk about your selfishness. But the thing is that arguing is necessary for richer solutions. Satisficing, where we just kind of get to a point where we get satisfied with the most strongest opinion, is actually very destructive for businesses. So at Fight to Media, we argue all the time. right? That's what keeps us competitive and allow us to continue to change our stripes. But if we get to a point where we're satisfied, I walk in the room and go, well, I think it's this. For example, if I walk in the room and let's say I slip up, because I know better as a business owner to be careful to over-argue my opinion. But if I walk into a room and I argue my opinion too aggressive, Danielle will come for me. Danielle, well, I disagree. And let me tell you, and Danielle is my indicator I'm coming too strong. Because if I come too strong, she kind of comes strong to say, no, I disagree. But even when she comes back, I don't measure me against her. I actually get excited for the argument because the outcome means that we're going to become better. Am I lying to Neil? We argue all the time, debate all the time. We go back and forth. It's part of nature. So I enjoy this dialogue and this conversation, right? Don't filter feedback.
Don't
filter feedback.
Number one.
I don't give a shit. If a person walks to your business to buy a sandwich and tell you your toilet tissue is the wrong color, you need to talk about toilet tissue that next week. Don't filter feedback. You're in business not to defend. You're in the business of offense, not defense. I don't have defense in business. If a customer if a customer is kind enough, Keith Lee gave Oakland a gift. Right or partially right or partially wrong. Oh, wait a minute. We got another response. You want to say something real quick? Go ahead. Turn the microphone on. It's green. There you go. Just turn it on. Okay.
When receiving feedback, is it okay to ask questions on like why about the feedback, like why, like their opinion on why they gave you that feedback?
Absolutely. You can ask why. You can ask insights. But as you ask those questions, always keep in mind it's a gift. It's never an attack.
Like not like an argumentative question, just like, hey, why do you think that?
Yes, absolutely. At all times. By the way, Gabby, you want to tell her your age?
14.
Yeah, thank you. You're 40-year-olds. Let's say a 14-year-old. You just got some game. So here's the thing. Feedback is a pathway to innovation. Sometimes customers will see things you can't see. That's that somebody just told you that the opportunities are in the north and you're still trying to protect the east. Mm-hmm. It doesn't matter if he's right or wrong. Okay, somebody said, I think somebody in this class, I won't call out their name, it says, well, I've been to Detroit and he didn't say that about Detroit. It doesn't matter. I don't know about you. When I go to Compton, I wasn't uncomfortable. But when I went to Baltimore, I was shaking in my boots the whole time, right? Because it's just that's a hood I'm just not comfortable with, right? I go to Harlem and not even sweat it. Be like, whatever, I'm in Harlem. I love this, right? I'm walking around feeling like my neck's not even swiveling, right? But I was in Baltimore. Not only was my neck swiveling, I was. Just like I didn't know what the hell was going to go down, right? So, and it's not that they're any worse than Baltimore is not necessarily worse than Oakland. It's just I'm uncomfortable with Baltimore because that's not my comfort. When I went to Compton, I didn't know I was in the hood yet because I was like, oh, that kind of feels like Oakland a little bit to me. So I wasn't necessarily in a space where I was uncomfortable. I'm saying is that I think somebody said it earlier. Shamar, I think you might have said. When we talk about being a business people, and this is for our business class, I'm not talking to people outside of business class. We have to be responsible for more than just our business we're running. Matter of fact, here's a basic rule. When you have a business, if you actually get a storefront, you're responsible for all four corners.
Can I get in here?
Go ahead, man, jump in because I can tell you. Look, when you get to this, when he want to jump in, he be like this.
Check this out. This is something you're going to learn this year. Is that if you're a restaurant, you're not a restaurant. You're a branding company that makes food.
Come on now.
So any barrier to entry to the point to where that customer can enjoy your food is something you have to address because you can gain, make, or lose money in any of those barriers to entry. Now you can have a Michelin star restaurant, Michelin star cook in that kitchen. And if somebody tells you that toilet tissue is thin and cheap, they may not come back next time off of the toilet tissue. Why? Because some people think, If they go cheap on that toilet paper, I wonder if they're going cheap on my food. Or if you're parking, if you're in a neighborhood, no matter how great your food is, and if you're in a neighborhood where cars are getting bipped constantly and there's graffiti everywhere and homeless people on the floor, you don't know how many customers you are losing because of that environment outside. So you got to make sure that you curate it from the entrance into your city to that restaurant, to the parking lot, and everywhere else, because it's important. So if somebody from the outside world comes in and say, hey, yeah, I'm gonna come check the Bay Area out, and he's like, yo, as a business owner, as an entrepreneur, your antennas have to go up, period. Like he said, you cannot put any barriers on any feedback anybody gives you surrounding your business, point blank, period. And it goes back to the individualism shit. We got caught with such individualism as a society in the last few years that our cognitive our distortions are so toxic that we say, well, he should have did this. Well, he should have did that. Well, maybe he should have did that. He didn't have to do shit but be black. He built his brand by himself, and he built his platform. He don't owe y'all shit. None of y'all, no businesses. So the fact that he curated his business and created an effect that where if Keith Lee goes to a restaurant, and after that it's lines around the door, he built that. So for us to say, well, he needs to do it this way or he needs to do it that way. No, that's his business model, Kaja. So let him rock with that business model, because he's not a corporation. He's trying to make an impact on small businesses. So I say, I read all the feedback too, and I'm thinking, damn, hope. Radical responsibility, individualism, should, and it's crazy how at a toxic level we have gotten that reflects the vibration of the city.
Go ahead, Kaja.
To add to that hope list, a lack of data, because no one really knows in any city, and I don't think anyone is either sharing or collecting the data. What does it look like 6 months after Keith Lee has come to your business? What are your sales impact? Have you doubled your customers? How many repeat customers do you have? So it could potentially be much ado about nothing. He came, okay. Well, what does that mean?
But that's the business owner's responsibility.
Right.
So if, like, for example, if somehow somebody turned 15 million eyes onto my business, it's up to me to maintain. It's like a kite. You know, you get a kite up in the air. It's up to you to keep that kite flying. If it crashes, it's not because the wind changed. It's like the wind is going to always change. Do you understand that the person controlling the kite, do they take all that into consideration, right? If also too, there's a thing where if you have fast growth, right? There's a way to scale up with fast growth and still communicate with clients and have them come along with the journey with you. You're never a victim in this situation, right? That's what's wrong with like a lot of the popular ways of thinking that people use is they somehow find a path to victimhood. And there's never really a path for entrepreneurs. You'll find that when you practice this radical responsibility, you'll start seeing things that others can't see. So, like, for example, your analysis is fair. Like, you're hella smart, so it's absolutely fair. And it was well delivered. But if I got you out here a little longer and you were literally eating by yourselves, you'll be like, oh, I can solve that one. Oh, I can see that. And so I totally get your point. And I think that's excellent. I think that I'm glad you said that, because I think some people are still holding that residue, like, you know, which is that's a case of like a lot of these what do you call it, reality TV shows, right? When you look at the data, you're like, oh, this is not too good on the back end, right? So your question, I totally see the brilliance of your question. But for businesses, if somebody brings you 15 million people of attention, like just for whatever reason, Jay-Z happens to walk in your spot and eat a sandwich, right? You got to learn how to harness that. I saw some people, let me show you what I did see that's very similar. This is a great point you brought up, by the way. During COVID, there were a lot of black businesses that gained a lot of attention, and guess what they did? They fumbled. You know why they fumbled? They were too busy trying to go get more money. They were too busy. The ego took over, or they never developed that customer sensitivity, or they got distracted. They trying to do too much shit, or they bought a car. Whatever the fuck it was, they got distracted and they missed. Like, there was times when Target's like, your product is right here at the front door. And I go to your website or I go to your line, your commercials, and I'm like, where's your marketing to exploit this opportunity? Why can't you be Budweiser for a week? But instead, it's like they just didn't understand the development. And it's not, okay, once again, a lot of black businesses suffer from approaching business as a job, not building a business. And when you try to approach it as a job, you're looking to have a skill to run your business, when really running a business, once again said, it's an intersection of multiple disciplines, right? And so you got to see waves. When you're running a business, we all catch waves. You're always catching a wave. You're always catching a wave. It's up to us to learn how to surf.
Yo, that's a great point, which brings the topic of hype cycle, right? So the goal at some point is for you to catch a hype cycle. And when you catch that hype cycle, you got to be prepared for the hype cycle, because you don't know when the next one's coming, right? So you're always trying to prep yourself for that hype cycle. So in this particular case, Keith Lee saying, hey, Bay Area.
Sorry, that's Josh and just being Josh. Go ahead.
So he says, hey, Bay Area, a few of y'all companies gonna catch a hype cycle. Let's see what you can do with it. Are you prepared for it? In whole or in part, in city and in particular business. And at that point, it's like, yo, I might catch this hype cycle. Now, once you catch the hype cycle, it is up to you to be prepared for it. 2, maximize it. 3, ride that wave. Ride that wave. And if you don't ride that wave, you can say, well, hopefully another one comes another time, but you don't know when. And the thing is, you got to keep growing your business, putting your pieces in place so that when it does happen at some point, you're still growing incrementally. You're still expanding. You're still over year, your company and business and infrastructure, redundancy and runway is growing.
I think people fail to realize when he went to their business, he didn't just go there and eat. He went there and he ate, and then he also talked to you about improvements. And some people, like the young man who's, I think he's in the Deep East, he has a pop-up. And when he went there, he went there, gave him some criticism, but he also ended up on the news the next day and brought lines down the street to his business. Another young lady who I never even heard of her restaurant, I forget the name of it now, but he tipped her $2,000 and he told her what she could do to make her business even better. And he did the same thing with Candy. He went to Candy restaurant, and because she was a superstar, he didn't say, oh, let me not say anything. He told her what she could do to make it better, and it's up to the people to change it. And he do, like, people that he go to restaurants and he he critique you and give you a review, he can make or break a business. And he have made people business go sky high, and they rode the wave and became big.
Okay, I just have a quick question. What would happen to a business if they stopped focusing on what they can fix and improve, and they just kept on waiting for that hype cycle?
Good question. Excellent question. You know what they do? You know what would happen?
What?
They crinkle up. They would crinkle up, because radical responsibility says that the growth and the success of my business is in my control, right? Now, the way business works is that critical mass is a thing. Critical mass means at a certain point, as you gather more customers, like she had asked the question, Kaja asked the question, well, what happened? We don't know the long-term effects of Keith Lee. He talks about a business, hype cycle comes, and then we don't know what happens 6 months from now. But here's the thing. If if you're in position as a business, say 510 Media is in position as a business, but they're small now, but they've been doing all the groundwork, laying it. Some stuff you can't even see. It's like, why you buying that expensive shit? Because y'all ain't even that big yet. And you like, don't trip. I got it. Why you hiring so many people? Y'all ain't doing much yet. Why you have all these systems in place? And why is it so strict in there when y'all ain't got that much revenue yet? Don't trip. I got it. And boom, you hit a high cycle. And now you manage that hype cycle. And there's mistakes that happen, but 85 to 90% of the business, you rock it. Guess what's going to happen? 85 to 90% of that business now are going to refer you to other businesses. And those people are going to refer. So the effects of the effects is all referrals. So that possibly can be the opportunity that you go from a 1 million to a 10 million. If not, say you fumble it, because as entrepreneurs, we fumble shit sometimes, right? You still are working and growing every day to build your business up and find customers to refer you, because like the concept of a virus is the same concept of a business trying to grow, trying to reach critical mass. You're looking for a host, you're looking for repeatability, you're looking for infection rates. It's the same thing. So if that doesn't happen, you're working on the ease of which your virus can take. So if for me to infect, if two people have to infect each other and they have to cut each other and touch each other, that's a slow growing virus versus if I'm just walking down the street coughing and you catch it.
Go ahead, Tom.
One more thing I want to say, you when you were saying something earlier about the hype cycle and stuff, you triggered something. Another thing Keith Lee did, he opened up the door for a lot of the Bay Area food reviewers or critics or influencers to come in and start paving the way out here and doing it too. Because as we talk about it, I'm pretty sure everybody was online and saw it. So now y'all algorithms is going to start showing y'all more and more food reviewers in the Bay. So he also opened up it was like you say, it was a gift, because now people like you can take advantage of what he did or did not do in the Bay and start reviewing some of these restaurants. So he actually, regardless if it was good or bad, he just opened up the floodgates for Bay Area food influencers, critics, and reviewers to come in here and be like, okay, I went to Nana's restaurant, had this gumbo. It was a little salty, but it was hella good. You feel what I'm saying?
Yeah, I caught him. I'm
You hit him with the salty. He hit you with the salty.
Yeah, he was the salty. I caught it. Don't think I didn't hear you, bro. Yeah. I think we covered enough for Keith Lee for tonight. But this is I see you, Tom. This is a good. I love. Matter of fact,
Salty.
I want you guys to, I want to share something real quick. You guys just did ideation. You know that? This is a dope ideation. And ideation, diversity, okay, y'all know I don't like social justice, because social justice is a poor methodology of trying to develop equity, right? I believe that equity is a much more challenging, it requires a much more thought out, challenging, tested methods. Like you have to keep testing different methods, right? If you actually want to see some excellent equity work that was ever done in the history of America, go look at read Martin Luther King's material. You'll see the mastery of equity work. But anyway, it's not something that is just based upon canceling and emotions. But diversity is really about different people circling a subject and having different opinions. And from that different opinions, a lot of creativity and innovation will arise, right? And so what you guys witnessed, the agreements, the disagreements, the different angles, the different energy shifting this way, shifting that way, and even the passion that people have from their background. When you allow room from a 14-year-old to a 50-some-year-old man, when you bring all those people together in one space, right? Not you, don't know one next to you. So when you bring all those individuals into a room, you'll be surprised what can happen. And by the way, Gabby, love the way you carry your weight. That was very, very, very powerful. Let's move on to the next slide, because I want to hear, this is one that I've been waiting for him to talk about, because we talk a lot. So I'm about to give me some popcorn. So you ready to get started? Damn, I gotta use the restroom. I think I'm about to just hold it. I gotta hear this.
Yeah, so we're in an over-information age. You guys know this, right? So talking about algorithms, right? So if you're a personal development type of person, or you're in a growing personally, then your algorithm is probably full of different poets that has motivational things with music in the background and like pictures of birds flying past, giving you this spiritual or motivational or business quote, or what leaders do or what powerful people do all the time on every social media platform. And we're inundated with it. Inundated with motivation, inundated with affirmations, inundated with pumping yourself up. So with that much more out there, how come there isn't that much more successful people out there? The math don't add up, right? And because there's fundamental flaws in it. If that alone was enough, then we would be further than we actually are right now. And right now we're struggling harder. So when I say why don't they work? It's a presupposition, but actually the reason why they don't work for most of us is because we are missing certain elements as to why. Element number one, we're missing leverage. One thing, you're missing leverage. So if I could pump myself up in the morning, get juiced, and then I sit down at my computer to get a task done, and it doesn't happen because that motivation wore off 45 minutes ago, then where's the missing link? The missing link is in the leverage. The missing link is in the why am I doing it? The missing link is what happens if I get it done. The missing link is what happens if I don't do it. So most of the time, we'll spend money to go to seminars or read books or watch videos to teach you how to get excited, to get juiced, to get pumped up. But they don't tell you how to build the leverage in terms of how to make it stick, how to make it transfer, how to convert it over to where it not only lasts through the day, but it lasts you through the year. It lasts you through your journey. So so I'm not saying that motivation is not good. We all need to be motivated at some points. We all need motivation. Without motivation, without inspiration, then we're doomed to depression, right? But you have to understand, awareness by itself a lot of times is curative. So you need data and you need strategy. You need to know. Once you understand to say, there's blind spots that I have that I don't even know. I don't know what I'm not doing. I don't know what I don't know. The moment you even say that, it can allow you to open yourself up to other people. That's why the Keith Lee discussion is so dope, because it allows you to say, I never thought about that. I never thought about that. Again, if I'm a football team and you're the opposing football team, and you see us on the other side cracking our helmets to each other, getting pumped up and juiced and focused and jumping up and down and screaming, yeah, and y'all just sitting there like, no, we're cool. It's going to be a problem, right? That's why that ritual is in every football team at every level, even in the NFL, because that's an element that you need. But that does not mean that on the sideline you have a coach with plays and strategy, and you have an offensive lineman coach, you have defensive coaches who have plays and strategy. That in combination with those things, you have highly skilled players who practice 4 or 5 times a week to work on the skill. So you have data from past games, right? You have data from past games. You have data on who you're playing against. You have strategy. You have the whole team has plays, offense and defense, that you've practiced during the week, right? Then you have skilled players. So that motivation now only plays a tiny part. It only plays a little part. And then the inspiration piece that the players have is their individual whys, right? They may have a scripture written on the side of their shoe, or their mom's picture somewhere, or a chain around their neck. That's inspiration. But it'd be the stupidest thing to do is to trade those two things for the skill, the strategy, and the data. You're getting smacked. You're getting smacked. And as entrepreneurs, a lot of times that's what we do. We'll spend all our time, our energy, resources, and money learning the motivation part, and very little on how to be good entrepreneurs, very little on strategy, on how to think as an entrepreneur, very little on the details and nuances and the ins and outs of entrepreneurship. We just think we can just pump ourselves up. Have you ever been into a fight with somebody who was having hella theatrics on the other side of that fight? Hella theatrics. The crowd, they got the crowd thinking they was about to whoop your ass. And you calm because you knowing, I already know, I can tell I'm about to drag you, right? That only goes so far. So why do we do it in entrepreneurship? Same with affirmations. I'm as woo-woo and spiritual as the next person. And affirmations can provide you baseline help to help overturn some of your negative thinking, which is powerful, which is important. But do not replace affirmations with data and strategy and skill as an entrepreneur. It's the same thing as walking into a boxing ring, you never boxed before, and boxing a professional fighter, and you just need to pump yourself up and get juiced and excited. Shit ain't going. And then you're perplexed as to why your business ain't working. You're perplexed as to why shit ain't popping off for you, and you make all of these excuses. But that's the equivalent of what you're doing. So in their small places, in their places, those things can provide fundamental baseline structure for you. But the problem is we replace them. And this class ain't gonna be that. So be prepared for this class to give you data and strategy, how to think as an entrepreneur. The skills part is on you. I don't know your business. If you make cupcakes, or you own a gym, or you have a media company, photography company, massage company, whatever your business, I can't give you no advice on how to be a better version of that. You should be practicing. That's your job, to be practicing and getting better at that skill. This class is teaching you how to think. And the unlearning part that we talked, that's in the first slide, which is so perfect for this, is you have to unlearn that there's no amount of jumping jacks that you can do to force your business to be successful. And this is live, so whatever. Whoever y'all see it, you're going to see it. But I had a player. Player was slated to go to the NBA. So we had signed him because this player he had all the boxes checked to be the next big thing in the NBA. So we signed this player. So this player comes from another country to the United States and had so much hype. Like, the hype cycle was so strong that all he basically had to do was just not fuck up, and he was going to the NBA. Gets here, and there's issues with his footwork and things of that nature, right? So the powers that be said, it's not that he's going to make it. He's just going to need another year for us to work with him. You know what his agent said? No, because they wanted that bag, right? So they said, no, he has enough hype that we'll just get it. Our hype will get him there, and we'll just wheel our way into the NBA and just let him get better while he's there. And they're like, that's not a good plan. Pumping yourself up, motivation, affirmations. We're going to will them there. To the NBA? 400 out of 440 million? You really think you're going to make that? So he's getting dragged around. Guess what? No, he's so popular and Draft Boards comes out. Not on there. Round 1, round 2, round 3, now 4, not on there at all. So guess what? He has to go back to his country. Goes back to his country, but but him not making it into the league cut the hype cycle in half, killed it. So now he had to go back through the bottom ranks and never made it out the bottom ranks because he wasn't ready. He just needed that 1 year of skill, data, and strategy. And that's what a lot of us do. So I wanted to set the tone for this class, so you know that we're not going to be up here hyping y'all up.
No, you ain't trophies, no trophies.
Not at all. There ain't no trophies in entrepreneurship. It ain't none. It's your trophy is your bank account. Your trophy is your bank account. Your bank account, not even ours. Gotcha.
You got a question? Go ahead. Go to the microphone.
Before we get too far away from it, because you brought it up last week as well, and then you brought it up again today, about the value of arguing, right? And I know you've been in your business partnership with Mashama for years. How did the two of you allow yourselves to do that without, one, either bringing a contentious energy into your relationship, or two, letting the relationship turn into basically a consultancy, because basically y'all are just a feedback loop all day?
Couple of things. One, Mashama's father was an entrepreneur. I was a multiple failed entrepreneur over and over and over and over again. Two things that happened to both of us because of our journey is we both realized no matter how smart we are, we don't know anything. So we knew that we both were very strongly opinionated. Like, he's just as strong as I am in opinions, right? He's quieter, but trust me, he's very strong. He has a very strong opinion. We knew after our first 2 or 3 arguments that we saw how we both learned from them and we became better. So then we became excited about, we actually get excited about arguing. And if we don't argue, it's like, should we find somebody to argue with us? Like, literally, because we know how biases work, right? And we don't want to become an echo chamber where we're just echoing the same thing. Also, our team is very diverse. Like, Danielle's different than Tennille, Tennille's different than James, James different than Dre, Dre's different than Kev, Kev's different than Scott. Like, like everybody's different, right? So, and everybody reads their own material. That's nothing to, like, if I team you have to always be learning. If you're not reading something, you're going to feel the pressure from the team. Because I need you to sit in that room and not be intimidated by us when we start going back and forth, because you have something to add, because you invest in yourself. Often, there's been a couple of cases where there's been somebody who sat amongst us and broken down, but when they broke down, it's because they weren't investing in themselves. So as a company owner, I really drive this idea of like everybody invest in themselves, because I need everybody at the table to be part of the table. I don't need this. We do have a hierarchy because it allows us to be efficient, but everybody's contribution is a must. So you don't come to Fight Media to tuck yourself in a cubicle and just kind of become a drone in a cubicle, right, or a robot in a cubicle. You couldn't fight media to participate in solutions. So you can't, and if you start opening your mouth and I realize you're not putting any time in, I'll call you out. I have no problem calling you out, right? So for me and Mashama, we practice humility just as much as we practice learning. Because we learn, the smarter we get, the more humble we become. Because the smarter we become, the more ignorant we realize we really are, right? So that humility allows us to both come to, like, we argue with a question mark. We don't argue with a period. And that's a big difference, because even if I know I'm right, I still question if I'm right. Like, I can say a word with, I can say a sentence with 10 words, and some of those words can be used incorrectly because they link to my cultural understanding of those words. So because I have distortion around just those 2 words, if you change the meaning of those 2 words, it changes everything that I believe in. So and we discovered this so much, like the word just, I want to learn business, right? Well, learn is questionable. I is questionable. Your wants are questionable. And business is questionable. So if I say, no, I said what I said and I know what I said, depends on who you're talking to. Depends on the scenario, right? So there's so many different things. Once you realize how much room you have to move, even in the things you even understand, and even if those things that you understand are still subjective because they still fit within a paradigm, like the water you swim in as a fish, you can't afford to be absolute. So nobody in my company gets to hold an absolute space. You don't get to say, I absolutely know without a shadow of a doubt this is right. You can't say that. You can argue it, and that's fine. But what me and Mashama do, if we get to the point where we have a standoff, where we're not moving the needle, then we'll break off and do some research and come back to the table. But we're also excited that the end result, but we never make our arguments personal. Never make it personal. Once you start saying, that's some stupid shit you saying. Man, you always disagreeing with me, or what's wrong with you? Any type of personal comments, it's almost like if he argues a point, you're like, well, and my brain's going, that don't make no fucking sense. My first response is, wait, where are you coming from? Explain it to me. Help me understand where you're coming from. Because sometimes when something doesn't make sense, it's my walls in my brain creating the friction, not what you're saying. So if for me to, you gotta remember, I work with a lot of businesses of different backgrounds. They serve different customers, different services, from product to service business to foundations, to educational systems, to government. And all within that, there's diversity, so much diversity, and there's so many different approaches to business, and they're not all the same thing. So when I walk into this new institution, I have to remain flexible at all times. If I walk in those institutions trying to be stern, I'm going to break more relationships than I establish. And here's the thing about helping people. You don't fix people. You empower people to create their own solution. If you try to fix people, you break them. But if you empower people to solve their own problems, because sometimes a person's only ready to make 1 degree of movement, even though you already see 20 degrees of movement for them. So if you empower that person, they take 1 degree, they're moving. That's all that counts. And that 1 degree may yield them $1 million, right? Now they could get to, $500 million, but they're just ready for 1 million right now. And if you gave them $1 billion too early, they wouldn't be able to sustain it anyway, because that's really you heroing them. So at the end of the day, it's like, I gotta go in these places and see the limitation in front of me and humanize that person and not focus on their limitations or see their problems and say, how can I help empower them to solve their problems? And sometimes that means they just need to take one more step forward, even though the journey is 10 miles in front of them. So we are also very offensive. We're not defensive. Our business is very offensive. So a problem happens is, how can we solve it? Not, why did this happen? Why are they attacking us? They should attack us. So what? Who cares why they attacked us? We're under attack. How are we going to solve this? Right? So when you're more offensive, it also changes the nature of your arguments. To show you how this is not just me and Mashama, me, Court, Pastor Chris, Mashama, T. Pratt. Were we in sensitive spaces and debating all the time? And did we have the best time ever?
Yeah. It's the fun part.
It's the fun part. And yet you realize that the debate is a necessary must. I think what's happened in a lot of corporate America is over-ratcheted safety. And they made it such a safe space as a fragile space. And so, and matter of fact, there's an argument by the CIA, I think it was back in the, way back. And the argument was, if you want to destroy a nation's structure, or like government structure, grow the bureaucracy. Bureaucracy automatically is like a virus to a company to destroy it, right? When you get to a point where you're just so fragile and you're over safe and you don't debate no more because HR is gonna keep intervening and talk about firing you, you're going to just crush the innovation of the company. The company flatlines. And so it's only surviving on its past achievements and its previous brand. But when the competition comes strong enough, it won't be able to ward off the competition because it's literally killing itself from the inside. So one of the things, like they call it BMI, you got to pay attention to the development of bureaucracy in your company, which is this fragility, this level of, this also status getting out of control. So before anybody make a decision, come talk to me. I'll give you a story I'm going to share about me and Tennille. There was a moment where I had to think as a business owner. So Tennille had made a decision to make to do some paperwork for, she hired this company, a government company, right? And it caught me on a bad night. It was one of those nights where I'm spending money like backwards and forwards for the holidays, right? And so I look on the line just to kind of like look at my numbers. Okay, cool. And did we pay all the credit cards? Cool. And I'm like, well, yeah, I paid our credit card. What's this credit charge for like $500 or something like, I don't know, something around there. So it's this company that was sending emails that try to mask himself as a company supposed to be working with, right? So I'm like, Tennille spent the money with $500 to these people. This is a scam. It's not. You don't need to spend $500 with these people, right? The first thing my mind said was, watch how you call her. If I trigger her wrong, I'm creating bureaucracy. If I said to her, before you spend a dime of my money, you better call me, right? If I said that to her, what would happen is that's going to create another layer of, I could be across town and she didn't make a move because she couldn't catch up with me, right? I need her to make decisions. I need her to be empowered and to be like, what would Nana do? I got to do it. So my job is to download to her, this is what Nana would do. Mm-hmm. So you can make that decision so the company can keep moving and be aggressive and be agile enough to compete, right? Mm-hmm. So when I called her, I said, hey, Tennille, I'm not mad at you. And do not see this as then I kind of went very apologetic because I didn't want her to take it in as, oh, I got to be defensive and oh my God. I said, but T, I think you made a mistake. And just next time, just learn a bit more about the history of what's going on. Let's talk about it a little bit more so you can own it a little bit more, right? And if we lost the money, we just did. But she was, fortunately, she called them and got the money back right away. But the key point was, Tennille was like, he messed with my money play. But anyway, but the key thing was that how I spoke to her was critical because if I spoke to her in the wrong tone, I could have damaged a relationship that could have hurt me down the road. So it's like all those type. I'm thinking about every time Danielle will make a mistake, and instead of me going, Danielle, why'd you do this? Watch this. Danielle, why'd you do that? And sometimes I realize, I didn't have the right communication, I didn't have the right understanding. It's really me, it's not her, right? But if I walked in that room and said, Danielle, what the fuck is this? That's old me, by the way. The first 5 years, I was like, what the fuck is this, right? And when I had that tone, then everybody's too rigid, and then everybody's so rigid that they're really just me. They're just extensions of me, which makes my company weak. My company's only great if I create ideation, which is what you guys saw earlier, where you have different people with different opinions sharing to solve the same problem. And so I got to move as a business owner in a way to protect the creativity, the flexibility, the agility of my business. Okay, give it to my goddaughter again. By the way, my goddaughter's never did this before. I'm so impressed with this. I'm getting emotional. Go ahead.
Quick question. What is the meaning of ideation? Because I keep hearing it getting brought up, and I don't know what it means. Excellent.
Ideation is when multiple people come in a room, come into a space, and they toss up their ideas to create a solution. So it's no one idea is superior to the other, but what happens is the idea, what you do in ideation is that you launch a whole bunch of different ideas into a pile. Then you choose the best top 2 or 3 ideas. They call your top hypothesis. And then you test the hypothesis, and through the testing, the strongest test wins on where the company will move forward. Because ultimately, when you make a decision, you know how you see something, like when we see something happen in society, like, if I was them, I would have did it this way. That's called hindsight. That means the problem has already happened, and you've seen all the facts. But when a person's making a decision, often they can't see all the facts. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So you have to make the most educated guess to make the best decision. And so the best thing to do is that, because like when Obama went after bin Laden, he wasn't sure if other countries would attack him for that. He just wasn't sure. But he had to look at whatever he had and whatever he had access to and just make the call, right? So ideation allows you to bring different people in so you can make the best possible call and never become victimized. They call it the hippo effect. The head person, it's saying the person in charge starts to drive all the decision making and outcome, which means the ego of the individual destroys the company. So ideation prevents the ego of an individual from destroying the group and puts the group first.
Thank you. I also wrote that on the back of my hand so I could remember it in case it didn't get brought up again.
This is so beautiful to see my goddaughter participating. It's just y'all about to see me get emotional. And I'm gonna try to drop them. I'm gonna drop my tears so that'd be gangster tears. All right, next slide.
We all know.
We tapped on this a little bit, but I want to just tap this one more time. This class is full of friction. Entrepreneurism is full of friction. This stuff has more friction than a little bit. Like I said last week, if you said, no, I want to improve my body, you just ask for friction. You said, no, I want to improve my mind, you just ask for friction. You said, no, I want to have a baby, you just ask for friction. You said, no, I want to get married, you just ask for friction. Now, when you say you want to run a business, you just ask for friction.
Hell of it.
This whole idea of it should not be, like my goddaughter said something to me when she just turned 14, or maybe she's still 13. And I know she's like, why is he jamming me up for so long? She says something that young people say all the time. They say, you doing too much. Right? You doing too much, which is an anti-friction statement. And I said to her, don't ever use that language in my presence because there's no such thing as you're doing too much. Well, is it? But the level that they say it at, it's almost saying, I'm irritated. I don't want to emotionally deal with it. Move on. And my argument to her was that everything you want in life is a path of friction. And so one of the reasons we go to the gym all the time is to build a healthy relationship with friction. And as you know, with friction, also a healthy relationship with time. Listen to me, everybody online, this is critical. We're going to bring this up at some other point, but yeah, we flowing today. In the hood and amongst civilians, everybody says money, time, and attention. Don't mess with my money, don't mess with my time, and last, I don't even know I have attention. Like that's real talk on the streets. In business, it's don't mess with my time, don't mess with my attention, and last, my money. You say, why? First of all, time is finite, right? So if you misuse time, by all means, you'll never get to where you want to go. Number two, time is a science. If you say tomorrow, Nana, I want to lose weight, right? No matter how hard you work out today, has zero impact on your 6-month goal. Let's take this to business. Let's say you have a business and you have this big lunch party and everything looks exciting and you had this big old hype party where everybody showed up. That's that first day of workout. But what's going to achieve your goal is consistency over time. So you got to be able to measure a rhythm over time to get to a goal, not hype moments. So in 6 months, if you had an intense day of working out here, a tense day of working out here, a tense day of working out here, that outfit still doesn't fit, right? It's the consistency and then tweaking the consistency to raise the level of engagement or the level of what's the word I'm looking for? I'm trying to say different words so y'all can pause here because y'all not gonna pause me. But looking for
pause.
but improving by intensifying your engagement over a certain period of time, you actually achieve a certain type of results. And what happens with a lot of people, because we're such short-term thinkers, I want to lose weight by next week. What do I need to get ready for the summer? Or I got to go to this party in 2 months. How do I lose this weight? Or, oh my God, I'm fat now. I didn't know I was fat. How do I get rid of the stomach right away? Right? And we don't realize that that's not how this rhythm really works. When you decide you want to change something, you got to kind of buckle down and get ready for the journey. And then on that journey, you got to learn how to become more efficient and stay consistent and keep up your level of engagement to get the long-term result. So time, attention. What do you pay attention to? What you pay attention to, or what are you around? If you're around low standards and you're the smartest person in that low standards, you're part of that low standard. Why you say that? We don't learn from just books. We learn from everything. Our body is taking in knowledge and information from everything around us. There's even bacteria that's coming inside of our body that we're benefiting from. A baby uses everything in its element to help it. If you take a baby and isolate it, it kills the baby. right? So the reality is that as human beings, the people you're around, the environment you're in. So if you're the smartest person in that group and you can articulate to everybody why they are flawed within that group, you're still no greater than the group you're in. Why? Because your actions don't match your words. I promise you that. Usually it's like if you want to grow your skill level, your level of engagement, your entrepreneur talents, you have to be around people who are stronger than you, or people who are equal to you. And by that, now your attention is aligned where you're benefiting. So now, as entrepreneurs, we pay attention to what's impacting our attention, even in our sleep. If we got the wrong sounds in our space, if you compromise our sleep, that means you don't compromise our output day to day. So time, attention, and if you take care of time and attention, it almost takes care of the money.
The beauty of friction, though, is that it's a muscle, so it can grow. So if you engage in conversation, and if the conversation gets too intense, and you're like, I'm done. No, I'm out of here. And you're the one that gets up and walk away. And they're like, no, we're going to have this conversation. And you can't stand the tension in the room, so the friction is too much for you and you got to go. Understand, it can be taught. If anybody has ever tried to run for long distance of time, treadmill, you first get on that treadmill. You set the path, the pace, the time, and you thinking you ran for 45 minutes, and you look on the little clock and it's only been a minute and 14 seconds, right? And you like, I'm done, I can't do no more. The beauty of it is if you go the next day, you can get longer, 2 minutes. You can go longer, 3 minutes. 4 minutes. As long as you can be incremental, you can do the same thing with tension. When I was trying to do the cold shower shit years ago, and I wanted to all right, we're going to try, I'm going to see. It said that it's a good idea, let me try it and see if it works. Man, I turned that shower to cold. I lasted like 2 seconds. Boom, black people don't do that. Black people don't do that. That's not a black person thing. It almost felt like I'd rather be stabbed and shot than sit in cold water. But it was so shocking to me that I was acting such like a mark. I'm like, I gotta do better tomorrow. There's no way I'm gonna let this thing defeat me. So over time, I was surprised. It took maybe two or 3 weeks, but I'm sitting in there 3 minutes, right? Because once you decide that you're going to sit in attention, that's the start. So it's a practice. That's why we're going to say, go to the gym, because going to the gym gets you in a comfortable relationship with tension. It helps your brain see that you can grow, you can improve. I may fail today, but I'll get a little bit better tomorrow. You know what I'm saying? Debating, that gets you practicing disagreeing with somebody. Some of us can't even be disagreed with without being on fire inside. And in entrepreneurship, you better get comfortable, way comfortable with customers, business partners, peers saying no, or I don't agree, or I think that's a bad idea, or this or that. And the third, and you have to be able to sit in your power and be calm and be able to bring them back. Like, the importance of friction means if your best customer, like $50,000, I need $50,000 customers still. So if my $50,000 customer ain't happy, I'm manipulating the hell out of him, and I'm a Jedi mind trick him back into the game. But I wouldn't have been able to do that before, because the first disrespectful thing you said, man, fuck you. All right, we're cool then. All right, well, bye. You ain't my customer. Not because you ain't my customer, it's just I have not had a comfortable relationship with being in the friction yet. So this is huge.
Next slide. We're going to come back to this over and over throughout the year. Okay. This is I love this picture, by the way. This is my entry to hip hop. If I told you tomorrow, hey, listen, y'all, I went to a seminar last week and it was popping. And the speaker, I spent $20,000 to become a big hip hop artist. Do y'all think I'm going to make it? No. If I told you I read a book on hip hop and I'm trying to see if Jay-Z going to put me on, you think I'm going to make it? If I told you that I took a class at Laney in hip hop. And Mr. Fab, but he ain't never seen nothing like me before. Y'all think that's gonna work for me? No. What am I missing? What am I missing? Why can't I become a hip hop artist if I took a seminar, I read a book, or I went to Laney College? Why is it I can't be a hip? No, shout out to Laney College, by the way, because they're part of Peralta Colleges, and shout out to Alameda College Rise with 510 Media Hope Foundation. So love you guys, but so don't take this personal. Get over the sensitivity. Point is this. So the question is that why is it I'm not a hip hop artist?
Can I answer?
Go ahead, anybody. Well, okay, you can't answer because you got food in your mouth. Go ahead, just go over here. Get past the microphone over here.
You too old to rap.
Yeah.
Would it be that
What's your problem? Okay, go ahead.
You're lacking the talent,
No, what else?
the experience?
That's part of it. Go ahead.
Yeah, I agree with what Court. I'm not. Also, what's up? You back? Anyway. But he walked in here and I ain't seen him in since I was 6. Anyways, lacking the reputation. Well, not just the reputation, the being known. I don't know how to explain it. If nobody knows you, the connections.
Yeah, that's part of it. Go ahead. Anybody else? Go ahead. Pass it. Anybody else?
Honestly, it's the pain that pain and that experience and that failure that you have to kind of endure in order to understand what it means to be at that level. So you have to get through all of that. You have to get through the mud.
You have to live that
rise
life.
up above.
Here's the key thing. You have to live that life.
Facts.
You have to live that life. If you want to be a hip hop artist, if you met any hip hop artist who's actually got to the top or became well recognized, they seem like they came from nowhere. But if you just follow their history, they lived their life. It wasn't just one book. It wasn't one song. It wasn't one album. They actually was engaged in that life. And because that's the life they lived, they are hip hop, right? The same rules for entrepreneurs. Stop telling me about these seminars. You read a book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, or you went to a conference, or there was a 2-week seminar, or you went to Laney, you took a business class in college, and now you're ready to be an entrepreneur. It does not translate. Time, attention. Attention meaning that if you don't have a lifestyle of an entrepreneur, you're probably not an entrepreneur. I don't know how to tell you this any other way. It's a lifestyle. You got to eat, breathe, and drink this. That's why if somebody tells you, if you start a business and somebody says, I'm running 2 businesses.
Oh my God.
I don't trust any of your businesses.
None of them.
Because you're not living that life. You got to live that life. When you say you want to do something, I remember, I don't know where Shakina must have disappeared. She must know I was going to talk about it. She must have said, Choo. But so one of the things when Shakina first started her business, she wanted to run 2 or 3 different businesses. And she was super talented. And she's making a little bit of money from all of them. I was like, yo, until you focus on one, none of them will ever grow. And she begrudgingly said, fine, I'll do it. I'm talking about begrudgingly. She was pissed off. She's just like, whatever, I'll do it. But if this don't come through, I got to pay my bills and da-da-da-da-da. When she focused on one business, she had a rough patch, which that's part of it. But the level of knowledge that she gained and the way she upgraded herself, her talent, her skills, her insight on business, qualified her to be where she is today. But if she continued to split herself between multiple businesses, she'd still be where she was when I first met her 8 to 10 years away of now. So that's how it works. So you gotta live this life. Hip hop business is like being a hip hop artist. It's not a skill. You can get a skill and don't have to live that life. You can learn how to do accounting at a job, or HR, or management at a job, office management, or a certain particular field, and you can pick up that skill and even leave corporate America for a year and come back and just be okay. They'll retrain you. You're okay. Entrepreneur, it's a rhythm. Like, if you leave the gym long enough and you couldn't work out, let's say you was here and you leave for like 6 months, and if you're older, it could be a month. But let's say you leave for 6 months and you come back, that first day is going to almost kill. It's going to be, you're going to be taking taking aspirin the next day, Tylenol, Motrin, whatever you have to take, because your muscles going to be sore. If you used to be a runner, you'll probably get quarter way around the lake and be like, I'm going back to my car. This is about to kill me. You'll be running around the lake with an asthma spray in your hand. But as you stay in the rhythm, right, your easy is going to kill the man behind you. So like somebody new come work out with me, they think I'm committing suicide. But if you work out all the time, this is normal for you. So your norm continues to change. So there's so much invisible, there's so many layers of invisible evolution that's involved in being an entrepreneur that a lot of it is based upon compounded growth.
And you know what happens sometimes is when new entrepreneurs will come in and they'll go straight to the outliers. They're like, well, that one rapper did, he just posted one song and blew up, so why can't I? Like, but the other 40,000 didn't. Or that one entrepreneur, he just did one idea and it went. Those are outliers. Those are things that allow us to say there are no absolutes, because in the universe, there's no absolutes. There's always going to be outliers in every scenario. Your goal is to bring your probabilities as high as possible for your success rate. In China, there's a guy who can run a marathon smoking cigarettes the whole time. He can smoke cigarettes the whole time. So if you're a smoker, you can be like, well, there's a guy who can run marathons and smoke cigarettes. All right, cuz. Go ahead, follow that then and see how well that works. When the other 10 million people die of cancer from smoking. So entrepreneurship, you cannot follow the outliers. And we are quick to do that. Well, what about this? Well, what about that? Ain't no whatabouts.
Next slide. Okay, so let me go over a couple of development rituals. People, listen to those who can hear my voice. You got to work out. You got to get used to, first thing is first, you got to get used to doing things you don't want to do. I'm a curse. Put your hands on your kids' ears at home. Grow the fuck up, right? You got to get used to doing it. Wait, them hands are fast. We got a mama with her daughter in here. She said, whop, whop. That child looked at her like, what do I do? Why I get slapped? But you got to work out. Exercising has so many benefits in this game, right? There's no way around this. Your energy level of how you engage and how long you can be consistent in your engagement and do not pause me, it comes from working out, right? Working out changes the way you think. Your brain you can become so overwhelmed with so much stuff that you just almost want to shut down. Working out allows you to clear that air and put things into categories and move faster, right? Working out teaches you how to deal with friction and resistance. Working out teaches the basic principles of building. Working out also gives you, this is one thing that I don't think I've ever said. So before COVID, during COVID, I picked up a lot of weight, right? And this weight is falling off. Praise God, learn some stuff. And the weights keep falling off, and I'm enjoying this whole journey. And I'm getting back to a weight that is acceptable for me. When I got to the peak of my highest, I think it was a class, about a year ago, and I said, all right, I'm over this shit. I said it in class, I'm over this shit. And what I was saying was, I'm gotten so big, this is uncomfortable. When you don't work out and your body sets into a certain mode and you let the muscles deteriorate, you let the fat come on, you let the internal part of your body, this is something he really is into, like your internal system's out of balance, you lose a portion of life. Mm-hmm. There's a portion of life almost disappears. You're running out of, you don't have as much air. Air is life. You don't have as much energy. Energy is life. You don't have as much drive. Drive is life. You don't even have that glow and that upbeat energy because you're exhausted all the time. Somebody says, what's up to you? You're like, what's up, man? Right? You have to. And we done said it every year. I work out 6 days a week. I'm talking about one day I ride my bike for 30 miles. I'm 56, bro. Let me just go over this. One day I ride my bike for 30 miles. Next day I run 2 miles on the track and field. The next day I go to the gym. Or that day I made to the gym too also. At the gym, by the way, I'm squatting to the floor, right? With real weight on my back. I'm deadlifting, real weight on my back. I'm bench pressing 315, 8 to 10 times. I'm doing pull-ups and bar dips. My shoulders are still good. I'm doing stomach exercise, lower back exercise. I'm working from my toes to my ears, right? Then I turn around and repeat the riding. I'll climb hills on bike sometimes. Sometimes I'll go run. Yesterday I ran stairs, right? I don't ever always want to do it. But being grown is doing things you don't want to do.
One more time.
Friction.
Being grown is doing things you don't want to do.
Friction.
It's our new rap group. What y'all don't we got this. So what I'm saying to y'all is like, this exercise thing is critical. I'm gonna give you another one. That Court was a latecomer and then Court became amazing. hey, Cardi B, don't you try it. And then later on, Court is the best. Court is the best at this right now. And I said, no, I'm not keep going. Stop it. So, learn to speak to everybody. Am I lying? Learn to speak to everybody. Speak to okay, when you walk down the street, when Court walks down the street, there's times I forget, and we're in a restaurant somewhere, and Court be talking to I'm like, this cat. Like, because we told him a long time, like, Court, you got to talk to everybody, bro. Everybody. Let me tell you why this is important. So I practice high mannerism. If you're with me, if you're now for the women who get sensitive, you got to deal with this, because I'm going to say what I got to say. If a woman's walking with me, I'm opening the door. Oh, yeah. Right? That's how I roll. What am I practicing? You go, why are you doing? I'm practicing a ritual. My ritual is, you got to learn to love people if you're going to make money off of people. Some of y'all will sit around in circles where people are like, you know what's wrong with these people? You know what's wrong with these people? You know what's wrong with these people? And you run your business like that. Run your business from a space. Start learning to enjoy people. Get in conversation with strangers. One thing we did do when we were all on retreat, we all had long dialogue with strangers. Am I lying? Everywhere we went, we met everybody. We had full out dialogue. We're talking about we learned from people's. I talked to a man who was like 90 years of age, still working. He was so upbeat. I talked about his life from 20 all the way to 90, and we sat there and we just had the dopest dialogue. I'm always saying hi to everybody. Everybody. If I walk down the street and you walk by me, I don't walk by like, or let me look at my phone, it's important time, right? How you doing? And say 30% of people never speak. I don't give a shit. It's for me. Learn to practice the engagement of people. It makes sales easier. It makes because Court's talking to everybody, he's mastering the market. He's mastering people. He's taking some hypothesis he has in his head. He can say, hey, what do you think about this? He doesn't need to argue with the person. He just want to hear what the person thinks about it. And he can take all that survey from all these different people. He's always talking to people. Here's another thing too. When Court says tomorrow, hey y'all, I'm selling t-shirts, all those people are like, oh, I like that guy. You see where I'm going with this? Some of y'all are hiding from people, scared of people, don't like people. Some people, I only mess with these people. Don't engage in those games. Don't engage in those silly games like men versus women, they versus LGBTQ versus straight. That's not your conversation. No. Learn to value people. When it comes to business, if you can't, because you got to be able to see people, but if you're always projecting on the people, you only see yourself.
Yeah. I'll say the interesting thing about developing rituals is that will allow you to perform when times get hard.
Oh man, he did
so
that.
You are preparing for when times get hard. So when you feeling your best, it's easy to go to the gym. It's easy to eat the right stuff. When you when you feeling yourself and you feeling good, it's easy to do those things. But your development of rituals is to prepare you when something punches you in the face or in the stomach or in the side. And what we tend to do naturally when we have an event or are triggered or are traumatized is to revert back to our comfort zone. But if you develop a ritual, that ritual now is a part of your comfort zone. So this can save your life, because if you battle with depression, if you've ever had bouts of depression where your emotions went down low and you can barely get out of bed, and you've been in the bed 2-3 days, and you've ever had to deal with those things, your rituals will carry you out. That you've developed over time, over years, over a couple of years, because you're gonna say, "Oh man, it's gym time. It's gym time. All right, well, let me go to the gym." And you go to the gym begrudgingly, and you hit the gym, and that dopamine starts firing in the back of your head. Now you're like, "Oh shit, I feel good." Then you get home, you're like, "I don't want to eat bad now," because that pattern effect happens. This is so important. This ain't about trying to make us all look the same. It goes back to the friction. Here's the thing about me. I love going into the fire, trying stuff that I ain't never tried before, stepping into my fears, things that let's go. So I knew I had that habit. 5 years ago, because I used to, my story was, I don't like people. I'm an introvert. I'm to myself. I do my thing. I've built my world where I don't got to be in people's face all the time. Guess what? I start doing that. Hey, how you doing? Good. Only on trips at the beginning, because when I get back home, Oakland, I'm back to I don't give a fuck. But I start doing it when we go to our retreat. But guess what happened? When I lost my salesperson and I had to be the salesperson, glad I did, because now I'm way more comfortable talking to people. Hey, and I already had built the ritual of doing it. So when it was time to make that cold call, that I was way more comfortable than I would have been. And here's the thing. Life opens up different when you do that.
Oh my God.
But when we was at that store, the dope part about being on these retreats with these brothers, man, is crazy, is because people feel our energy when we walk into the room. 5, 6 black men. It's not like they even intimidated. They're just like, who are y'all? So he's talking to the OG 90-year-old. I'm talking to the sales clerk. We end up talking about video games. He's like, I got a video game in the back. We could play if you want. I'm like, let's go. He risked getting fired.
This is real talk.
To go take me in the back inventory room to set up his Street Fighter machine so we can battle each other out for 15, 20 minutes. And his boss is like, what the fuck are you doing? It's because life changes, man. Like when you open that up and people are smiling back at you, some people are like, man, this life sucks, or this shit is bad, or life is bad. It's bad because you're putting that energy out there, and your daily rituals get back what your rituals are. But when you switch that up, it's like it changes for you.
There's so many beautiful people in this world. It's ridiculous, and they won't fit any stereotype. They won't fit any stereotype. Another thing too is that when you speak to people all the time. So, for example, somebody can come back to me and say, hey, they won't let us do this. I say, who's they? Oh, this person. Where are they at? Let me go talk to them. I'm comfortable because I realize they're human beings. I don't project on the people and turn. A lot of times your limitations are based upon you created these limitations in your mind, and you won't get past your own mind. You won't even go to the person and say, hey, listen, I'm just trying to get past you. What would it take? You won't even ask that question because in your own mind, you've already haunted yourself with your own beliefs, right? So, I get, like, we talk race, and I'm super pro black. I love myself as a black man. I'm not a multicultural black man. I love being black, unquestionable black. But it doesn't mean I can't value other people and value experiences. I'm an entrepreneur. When I open up my business, now mind you, remember I said, if you're an entrepreneur, do not be a revolutionist with your gross, be a revolutionist with your net. Meaning, go sell your product. And if you want to revolutionize your community, take your profit and invest in solutions. But don't turn your business in don't create a defensive business where you're turning away different customers. Your job is to serve the public who's interested in purchasing your product. And so in that context, you got to see people. You're going to realize that people don't wake up with a flag tattoo on their shoulder getting ready to hold up this core value and belief. Even when you see a shit on TV and somebody may have like there's people that have a MAGA hat on, Make America Great Again hat on, and you talk to them, you're like, wow, I didn't think you saw this or I didn't feel this way. This is why it's important for you to talk to people. Otherwise, if you saw 4 people with red hats on, you just see an army coming at you, as opposed to 4 people walking towards you. I promise you the world looks different. Even works in our own community. There might be a kid, like for example, I got a kid across the street. If you saw him, if he's by himself, he walks like he's a straight hood gangster dude. He is the humblest. He looks to me like uncle, right? Like he's the most humblest young man you've ever seen. But if you didn't talk to him, you'll be intimidated by him, right? There's gangsters I've had killers come to my old business who was literally like CIA to come. I'm not saying when the government sent out to different cities to talk to like the top. Was it FBI? Yeah, they started to talk to the top hitters. This one dude used to hang out in my studio all the time, and we would laugh like me and Josiah. I'm cap, like I'd cap on Josiah in a minute, right? Look at me eating again. But point is, I'm always capping on Josiah, right? I would cap on his brother the same. This cat had more bodies under his name than anybody, right? He was a good human with trauma, with deep trauma. You gotta see people when you move through this world. Otherwise, most of your resistance is your own beliefs. All right? Next slide.
That picture's dope. Whew, that picture's dope. You're gonna learn about bandwidth and how we tax ourselves unknowingly every day, leaving very little. We talked a lot about this already, especially last week. But you're gonna just remember the word bandwidth tax. Bandwidth tax. This is a word that you're gonna need to help understand how you create the time to run your business and your life. So we all have 24 hours in a day. Every single human has the same 24 hours, and there are humans who have hundreds of billions, almost trillions of dollars, and there are humans who are suffering from so immense poverty they may not make it tomorrow. So what is the difference? And a lot of it comes down to how we manage our time, attention, money, that Nana talked about, and the bandwidth tax that taxes us on a day-to-day basis. So I want to just understand that term. If this is your first time hearing it, write it down, bandwidth tax. And we're going to be using it all year.
All right, next slide. All right, so let me just hit this quick, because we're about to get into some real, it's about to get really dense. As a matter of fact, in this next portion of the lesson, it's going to get really intense. And I want you guys, if we don't get through it, and we just got to have a lot of back and forth, this next lesson we're going to tap into, if you don't get this next lesson, a lot of this class is going to be hard on you. So ask questions. There's no such thing as a dumb question, because most people don't know this next subject we're about to tap into. Most people don't know anything about this. People don't know that this actually exists. Remember I said in this class you're going to learn about the invisible things that most people can't see. So, but before we get there, I want to say, look, those of you at home, this class is free, but we, like I said, I'm trying to resist sound like a preacher, because I don't feel like that. But the donations that come to this class will go towards building an institution that is going to be committed to investing and growing the Black community. So if you're at home, if we touch your heart, or if we inspire you to improve your business, or if you see improvement, or we just inspire you to get the next day and make some changes, if you can, nothing's too small. Donate to the class. Also, those of you who can't donate, make sure you hit the subscribe button if you're on YouTube. And third, make sure you share this video with your friends. Share as all. The main goal, even if we didn't build the financial brand arm of the Hope Foundation, I want to make sure that we are disrupting, right, in a positive way, where we're causing people to have different conversations around business. Also, I want us to have a different conversation around some challenges that African Americans and the working class people in America are facing. Why is that? because a lot of the nonprofits who are trying to show up to service, they really don't know what's going on. They can't see it from the ground level because they're trying to support a lot of people from the helicopter. And once you come out the helicopter, like for example, have you guys ever seen Oakland from a high rise? It looks as peaceful and beautiful as it can be. Okay, was your car parked down there? Your car is like, that shit ain't peaceful. I just got hit, right? So the reality is that it's like that's the reality of the world. It's like when you're from the top looking down, you don't see all the complexities that will change the context of what you're looking at. So those of you at home that can, just make sure there's a link at the bottom. Look underneath the video on YouTube. You'll see a link. Click on the link, and what to say, whatever you donate, we definitely appreciate it. So with that being said, y'all ready? Because this shit we're about to raise the bar a little bit. I've been wanting to do this for a few years, and it's something that last year I wanted to talk about, but I decided I wanted to start this year off moving this direction. Shakita, you ready to be our lady of the hour? By the way, Shabisha just told me to tell you, don't get comfortable in her seat. So next slide. Next slide.
For it.
So, by the way, this is a dope slide. Danielle, another one. Human instinct versus rationality. Where we're about to go now is to a space that if you get this, if you can understand what we're about to teach you, and we're going to break it up. So we're not going to finish it all today because we're not going to have enough time. And next week we're going to kind of teeter back and forth. We're going to tap into this week in the book Clear Thinking, which I asked you all to purchase. This is just chapter 1.1. Just 1.1. The reason this is going to be so important for you to get is not because we're just trying to be philosophical, because business is also philosophy. But this will help you see opportunities when others can't see it. This will help you recognize patterns that you've never seen before. This will explain things to you that you're going to say, oh, that's why this business runs their business this way. That's why their lights are this way. That's why they put the products over here. That's why they service you at this time, right? Because we have to separate our thinking self from our animal behavior. As human animals, we have these certain things that we do to protect our survival. And it's hard for us to override those things. And a lot of businesses that use marketing tools, that use sales tools, they come after your human instinct, not your rational side. And most of the time, if you put a camera on you, you're more likely to respond to your human instinct over your rationality. Now, you could train yourself to lean more toward rationality. You'll never be 100% rational. As far as the way we perceive, because even rationality, I can change that. If I use my neuroscience of my argument, rationality is not the rationality that we use in common language. Rationality is something totally different. But in the sake of just common communication, I'm going to use a lot of metaphors. So I'm not going to be 100% accurate, because if you came at me on accuracy, then I would have to make this a lot more complex to get my point across. So to keep it simple, in our common understanding of rationality, our human instinct often goes against our rationality. Now, before we jump into this, some people talk about the left hemisphere and the right hemisphere of the brain, and that's old science. The brain is really way more complex than that. Matter of fact, those principles don't even apply. You're looking at 29 billion neurons, right? That function like a very complex network. But in that network, it has hubs, right? Like you think about planes flying, right? They don't all fly anywhere. They fly to different hubs, right? You fly to different hubs. And because of those hubs, it allows planes to move around the whole globe, right? But without hubs, that would just be a hot mess trying to navigate and control planes, flying and landing. But in your brain, there's a separation of certain hubs. Some hubs don't talk to other hubs. So for example, when you do something in your life, say you commit an act in your life, whatever the act is, when you explain the act, the explanation is not connected to the act itself. The act, your body can do something, and all your brain is a press secretary just trying to tell everybody why you did it, but it's not clear on why you did it. That's why when you do surveys and say, what do you think? How do you feel? They're highly inaccurate, because people don't have access to that part of their brain most of the time. That's a trained brain that can actually tie themselves to my action and my reasoning often are slightly separated because that part of your brain doesn't talk to each other, right? So for example, you could do something, and if I ask you why you do that, your brain goes into explaining to satisfy the moment, but it's not connected to the why of why you did something. So businesses who understand how to position themselves to take advantage of the market start to learn your why based upon your patterns of behavior, not what you say. That's why a lot of entrepreneurs can hear you go up and roar and about a lot of stuff you come out your mouth, and we know at the end of the day, you're just going to do this. Anybody been in a relationship where you have a partner who's talking a lot of smack, but you know at the end of the day, they won't eat their dinner and go to bed? You're like, don't listen to your daddy. He about to go to sleep. Just let him keep talking. Right? Because in the end, it's like our why and our explanation of our why is highly separated. Y'all ready for this? All right, let's jump. You ready, Shakina? First slide. Let's go.
When you ask people about improving thinking, they typically point towards numerous tools designed to help people think more rationally. Bookstores are full of books that assume that problem is our ability to reason. They list the steps we should take and the tools we should use to exercise better judgment. They often, unaware circumstances, are thinking for them. It's as if we expect the inner voice in our head to say, stop. This is a moment when you need to think.
So we think that if you read a book on rationality and something happens to you, you can go, this is the moment I need to think. When things happen to us, you know what happens first? Okay, it's this. You guys seen a situation where you walk down the street and thought you saw a snake and you jumped? Or you thought you saw a rat, you jumped? Or you thought you saw a dog, you jumped, right? And then you looked and go, I ain't no damn dog. And you calm down, right? Your brain will say, hey man, I think I see a dog. What do you think we should do? Should we run? Your body said, oh shit. And then you go, oh, don't be scaring me like that, right? Because your body took control. There's more, your brain is designed to do two things. Well, it's more than two things, but the two primary things your brain is designed to do. I'm trying to use metaphors. I have to use metaphors because I don't want to get too, trust me, I can really get into this because this is one of my favorite subjects. Your brain is designed to manage resources, which is keep you alive. And number two, reproduction. There's the two primary functions of your brain, not thinking. Isn't that crazy? The number one goal of your brain is not thinking. So if your brain senses anything that threatens its discomfort, creates fear, takes away status, which is also a threat to the brain, anything that threatens the brain's survival, it will focus on reacting before rationality can have a place. So if you study a whole bunch of rational books, you're going to assume because I read these rational books, I will be a rational actor. Unfortunately, that's not how the brain works.
Shut up, Tone.
Next slide.
And because we don't know we should be thinking, we cede control to our impulses.
So real quick, so because you don't know, so we were on retreat, and there was some point where I was debating something that was seemed to be very lightweight and petty. Remember that? And I said, hey, no, it's important that we start to shape our heuristics, right? What I was really saying is that there's impulse intelligence and then there's deep thinking intelligence. Impulses is like, if you get upset all day long and you're just reacting to everything around you, you're making these impulsive decisions, right? You can grow your impulsive intelligence. But a lot of times you think because you're growing your deep subconscious thinking, you can engage in these deep dialogues, you have a degree, your impulsive side is untouched because you don't know that's a thing, right? So there's a thing where you got to learn how, if I go like this, you know, like for example, if you ever watch a boxer, right? They know when you have to throw a punch. They learn to see the flinch, right? Because they train their eye to see that when you're thinking about throwing a punch, they can see the facial response or something that says, oh, he's about to throw the punch, and their duck is already in motion, right? But some of you think that when a boxer throws a punch, I'm going to know what's going to happen. And before it gets there, I should have enough time to respond. In business, you're getting hit in the face all damn day, ain't missed. You ain't had one successful duck. Right? Because you thought my rational thinking was going to help you achieve success when you don't realize you have to train a different part of who you are. And there's a part of who you are by nature is designed to protect you. Keep going.
In the space between stimulus and response.
So Court's going to hit this subject a little deeper. So stimulus is that you have this feeling and then you're going to respond, right? So there's a space between, what'd you say to me? I wish, and then you take off, right? There's a space there. You know you can change that space, right? But most of us go from, you stimulated me, you pissed me off, I'm responding. You made me happy, I'm responding. And that's bad, that's just as bad. This bad guy walks into the business, gets you excited about this scam he's running on you. You get excited, you put the money in, you go home, you think about it and realize you just got burned for a couple thousand. That's very common. That's very common. Nigerians love you. They absolutely love you. Right? There's a certain group of Nigerians, they love you, right? And it comes from people who can't separate the stimulus from the response. Keep going.
One of two things can happen. You can consciously pause and apply reason to the situation, or you can cede control and execute a default behavior.
So, the pause. Remember we talked about this last year. The pause game is critical if you haven't developed a skill of developing control between the stimulus and response, or between when something happens to you, slowing down your speed of response. Because if you respond quickly to things all the time, you're more likely are using a level of ignorance because you're responding to your innate biological impulses. All right, well, keep going, because it's gonna get really, really intense. Keep going. Next slide.
The problem is our default behavior often makes things worse. When someone slights us, we lash out with angry words.
So someone slights you, get mad. Go ahead.
When someone cuts us off, we assume malice on their part.
I can't believe this motherfucker just cut me off. Keep going.
When things go slower than we want, we become frustrated and impatient.
So we plan to have this project done by Thursday. What's taking so long? I don't get this. I mean, we signed a contract. We say we done by Friday, and it's Friday, and we're only halfway through. Or I paid you as a contractor to get my space ready in no time at all, and you just screw me up because I gave you all my money. I'm almost broke. I plan to have this stuff. I need my stuff open by next week. You see what's happening here? That has nothing to do with thinking. That's impulsive. Keep going.
When someone is passive aggressive, we take the bait and escalate.
So passive aggressive mean that I come at you in a way that I'm being aggressive with you, and then you become aggressive with me, and before you know it, you shrunk yourself to deal with me, right? And then you'll say, not to cause this, but tone watch both of us and say, them some two fucked up people, right? Everybody running. So you cussing at a customer, and your employees look at you like, damn, what's wrong with Nana? I don't want to work here. Right? Or you holler at your employee, and the customer like, I'm not coming back here no more. And he's like, but what's it with me? She's always doing this. No, it was you, because radical responsibility, you allowed yourself to become victimized by their passive aggressive behavior. You see where it's happening with this? I want you to stay with me. Keep going.
In these moments of reaction, we don't realize that our brains have been hijacked by our biology.
So real quick, so when all those things just happened, you got hijacked by biology. That is your biological response. You're just being human now. Now, once you realize most human beings are gonna do human shit, do you see the angle you have in the market now? You see how you can almost predict certain behavior, because more humans will be more biological consistent than be rationally consistent.
And also, this is what happens sometimes is some people can't even see this. You know why? It's because what they'll continue to do is justify their actions. So they'll be like, well, I was right. That was supposed to happen. I should have, I did what I was supposed to do. It is what it is. Like, they'll justify not being able to manage the space between stimulus and response based on their ego. So a lot of times, if you're compromised in those spaces and you still think you were in the right, you got to look at the whole culmination of your life then. Am I always switching up friends? Am my old friends, they just doing too much, or they didn't, I grew my friends, so now I got new ones. Are your relationships messed up? Are your jobs always messed up? Your customers, you always canceling customers, and you always being in new groups because you and your old groups have had bad relationships, but it was all their fault. If you don't think you in the wrong for that, you got to look at the culmination of your life. That will let you know that you're compromised, which will give you an indication that maybe I should look at that space between stimulus and response, just maybe. And if I would make the decision differently the next day than I did the day before, then that is the issue.
Keep going. Thank you, Court.
And the outcome will go against what we seek.
So watch real quick. So go back and read that whole sentence again.
Mm-hmm.
Pay attention to this. This is so important, everybody, especially at home. Pay attention to this. Say it again.
In these moments of reaction, we don't realize that our brains have been hijacked by biology and that the outcome will go against what we seek.
Did you hear that? So as you respond to your animal behavior and you keep snapping, doing this, making these decisions, you're working against what you're trying to achieve. I want success, but your animal side, because remember, the animal side is different than the irrational side. Your animal side, by default, is producing friction, resistance, and sometimes even obstacles to your own growth. And in the end, you can't see it. You almost feel like there's some invisible energy holding you back. Some of y'all might call it the devil. Some of y'all might call the universe. Some of y'all might call it white supremacy. Some of y'all might call it straight people. Some of y'all might call it LGBTQ. Some of y'all might call it age. Whatever the fuck. You don't find something to point fingers at when it's really your biological side that you are not aware of is making decisions for you every day in impulsive spaces that's adding friction and resistance and distance from what you seek in life. Watch this. It's going to get cold. Keep going. Mm-hmm. Keep going. Next one, we don't. No, go back. Go back to slide. What's the same slide? Keep going. There you go. Okay. We don't.
We don't realize that hoarding information to gain an advantage is hurting the team. We don't realize we're conforming to the group's ideas when we should be thinking for ourselves.
So real quick, let's go over hoarding. Hoarding, why you say, well, how's that impulsive? Because as an animal, you're trying to protect yourself. So you feel like, okay, if as long as I stay valuable, no one's gonna fire me, right? So you'll hoard information to protect your position in the job. That's being impulsive. That's being biological. That's how you're supposed to respond as an animal. Because remember, we're designed for survival, but you're hurting the team. And remember, the team is what's gonna make you great. Let's say the next one, which is we don't realize we conform. We're group animals first. As animals, we're designed to be we're a herd-based animal. So a lot of times, whatever group you're around, you may disagree with them, but you don't realize you're conforming to them unconscious to yourself because that's what your brain is designed to do for survival. So you can say, I don't think like them, I'm progressive, but if you pay attention to who you're hanging around, you are unconsciously conforming to the group you hang around. Keep going.
We don't realize our emotions are making us react in ways that create problems downstream. You don't realize your emotions are creating situations for you that up front, sometimes these things seem totally invisible to the day. You cussed the car out, you did this, what's I got to do anything? But you don't realize you're compounding. Next slide. So our first step in improving our outcomes is to train ourselves to identify the moments when judgment is called for in the first place and pause to create space to think clearly.
So you got to start learning that. Okay, so one of the things I was trying to highlight with the fellas is it's okay to just be free and not talking, like just shit talking, right? Or you're at a barber shop and you're just talking smack. You're at a beauty shop, or you're hanging out with your friends at a wine club or whatever. You're just talking smack and everybody's just flowing. That's cool, but you as an entrepreneur have to know when to pause and think about what you have to say. If you're always impulsive, you're probably creating a friction that's creating the most stress in your life. You have to be more strategical when you choose to speak and what you choose to speak about and who you choose to speak to. I don't get to talk about anything at any moment to anybody, because I'm thinking about small things can blow up to be big things, big obstacles in my life, right? As well as also too, you don't really know. Well, we'll get to that in a minute. You'll find more, but so keep going. But
Sorry.
okay. Oh wait,
This
this training, yeah.
This training takes a lot of time and effort because it involves counterbalancing our hardwired biology defaults evolved over many centuries.
So when you go to curve your animal instinct, and we're gonna get deep into this. This is gonna be really fun. As you go to challenge your animal instinct, you don't just get to say, I'm gonna just challenge it. It's a practice. You have to practice this over years. Because when you first, there's gonna be many days you're gonna respond and go, there, got me again. Shit. Right? But as you practice, you can actually get in front of all your animal instinct, and you can actually say, this is the moment where I'm gonna unfold like this. And you even know, like me and Coach talk about this all the time, there's times when we know we are not good in this area of our animal instinct, so we avoid these spaces. There's just no way. Do not put me in this space. I know who I will become because I know my animal instinct, right? I know there's certain arguments I cannot have that argument. I know there's there's certain spaces I cannot be in. I just recently had a client who came at me crazy, and I knew, okay, call Mashama first. Do not call that client back, right? I already know what I'm feeling, and I know how I'm too triggered already, and let Mashama talk to me, then give myself a certain amount of hours, and then call the client. And I can still stay in control. That's my pause. But I understand that I have an animal instinct, and I accept my animal instinct. I don't say, it shouldn't be. It is. And some things work for me, and it works for me at times, but other times it doesn't work for me. Mm-hmm. Like this last 100 years of human life is unusual for humans. A lot of stuff that we're living in right now, this success thing that we're talking about right now, this is very, very unusual. Before 100 years ago, most of the world was poor as hell. So a lot of stuff that we're dealing with right now, our biology wasn't designed for. Go ahead.
Quick question. So, are you saying practice the pause with others? This is kind of a two-part thing. Because earlier I know you had mentioned when we were talking about feedback, you know how you said don't filter your feedback, right? So I'm thinking, okay, if me and Jasadi are on a gig, me and him will probably be very blunt, and I probably won't pause as much. But are you saying, like, if we're dealing with outside business people to make sure we take that time?
Oh, always, because you have to wrap your feedback for the best possible delivery for the person you're trying to deliver to.
Right.
So when I'm trying to deliver,
internally, we should be direct.
Right. I'm. That's why, like, so for example, I have some big meetings coming up this week. I'm going to be in San Diego. I'm going to be out of town this weekend, and then next week I come back to some big meetings. I'm really big, like, business changing meetings. The first thing we ask for is, can you give me a profile of everybody's in the room? I need as much details as possible, because then I know how to wrap this message to get it across. Because everybody can't receive it the same based upon their cultural backgrounds, the cultural historical traumas, whatever it could be, right? And so part of that is that the reason you have to pause often is because there's never a clear A-B situation, right? It could be A2, A.05, A to the pi. Like it's just always changing. And so as an entrepreneur, I have to figure that out, right? And my impulses often limits me to grow. Okay, if I want to grow a world where I have access to 1 to 0 and all the combinations that come between there and all the decimals and all the fractions that's tied to that, I cannot live in a simple binary world. But if I continue to let my emotions rule my world, I'm trapped in my world. Mm. So for me to get outside of my limitations, my world, and my vision of myself, I'm going to have to see the two parts of who I am. My impulsive animal, which is there for a reason because it got me here. So it's God's gift to us. Mm. But it doesn't always serve me, and sometimes it can undermine me.
You also have to look at the shift in value, right? So if you have to look at what's most important to you in that situation, that can help you. So if I was to say, Tone, what's most important to you in life? Respect, success, love, happiness, power. What's number one to you? Yeah.
To me, Love.
Love. Where is respect at?
It's probably second.
Second. So respect is up there. Second. So post love, if I say something disrespectful to you, your stimulus is going to be different than if Kaja respect was at number 9. You see what I'm saying? Since respect is so high, if it was number 1, I can say, fuck you, Tone. Right? Because respect, number 1 thing. So taking them deep breaths is just can be just a start when it comes to dealing with people that trigger you. When you in work mode, you and Jasadi, y'all both in work mode. And everyone's comfortable with everyone's style. But it's in the moments where you triggered.
Right.
Where you feel that fire turn on in your stomach and it gets high. And then it's telling you better say it or else you're not going to have self-respect. So you better say it. That's when you have to have the tools to be able to curb that and calm that down, take that deep breath and say, all right, well, let me think about it first. What to say, the best thing to say.
Yeah.
Wish you could have told me that in September, and Josh. We was dealing with that shit. I called you, Nana.
Hey man, listen, that's why you're here.
Yeah, we talk about it now.
Yeah, you talk about it now. So go ahead, Shakira. Go ahead.
But mastery over the ordinary moments that make the future easier or harder is not only possible, it's the critical ingredient to success in achieving your long-term goals.
Trust me when I say this. So in a long-term goal, a lot of small mistakes can make the goal unreachable. Okay, look at dieting, right? Long-term goal, I'm on a keto diet, right? It works. Every once in a while, you gotta have a little piece of cake here and there. Every once in a while, I'm gonna have my little soda here and there. Every once in a while, you know I love my chips here and there. Just here and there. But if you actually got somebody to pull a spreadsheet, they'd be like, dude, here and there is every day. What the fuck are you talking about? Right? But in your brain, because you don't realize these incremental, because when you do something okay, for example, this happened to me one day. I'm talking to my doctor about my diet. I'm like, yo, hey, so I know we talked and you said this diet is the other, and I'm in such a deep thought, right? And my wife had some chocolate sitting on the counter, right? And I was like, yeah, God damn it. How'd I eat the chocolate? It literally, my animal side of me just grabbed the chocolate, ate it, because I was such in deep thought. And I was like, what the hell? I'm talking to her about, yeah, doc, I ain't no sugar. I got this sugar thing under control. And literally grabbed a piece of sugar, put it in my mouth and ate it. And it's like, what the hell was that? Right? And so in the end, I know personally, hey, I can't override certain animal instincts. If I get stressed enough or I get exhausted enough, my body's like, well, there's some sugar around here somewhere, right? So I have to train myself to say, yo, my brain is talking to me right now. This is what it's asking for. Go here. One of the areas I gain mastery in is going to the gym. I discovered when you walk into the gym door, your brain says to you, hey, you're going to create injuries to us. So your brain doesn't say, hey, don't come in here because it's going to hurt. What your brain says is, hey, don't you got an appointment to come up with? You didn't kiss your daughter goodnight before you left and stuff like this. Hey, did you get some air in those tires? Oh, shit, did you call that client back? What your brain is trying to say is, how can I get him out the gym because it's talking about hurting us again, right? And so what happened is that you got to know that your brain is running the game. And I literally say, oh, there you go, brain. There you go, the same old shit. Oh, you don't want to be here. Oh, my God, you're going to die. Oh, my God, you got asthma. It can start up any day now. This is shit my brain say. It goes to the whole rigmarole. And I just tell my brain, whatever, dog, we're going in there and we're going to lift. And the first time I take a deep breath, he's like, I told you. What I tell you, you just were going to put this shit down and let's leave. My brain literally just talking to me just like that, right? My biological brain is designed to protect me, not get me buff. It don't give a shit about being buff. It's like, what do we have to do to make sure we winning in this game? And if you threaten me about some sore, injured, or you can hurt yourself this way, can fall in your chest, or you can do these squats and break your back. I literally, my brain says that every time I do squats, you can break your back. I don't know why you're doing this, right? And so you know what I did? This is no exaggeration. So I usually when I squat, I stop at 245, and I do 245 10 times, I'm done for the day, right? I stopped maxing out a long time ago. The way I overrode my brain, this sounds so superficial, but this is how I fought my biological side. I feel myself squatting 315. And then every time I tell myself what I can't do, I just kind of remind myself, yes, you can. What the fuck is 245? If I didn't feel myself doing 350, my brain would say, I don't give a fuck what you did. That was yesterday. Today, you're going to die. so I'm saying to y'all, like, you guys got to know, like, your brain is so cold. It is literally care about two things. Are you surviving? Cold. Are you reproducing? And for men, y'all know what I mean when it says, are you reproducing? Keep going. Next slide. So here's the high cost of losing control. Danielle, cold piece of work. Next slide.
That was so possible. Mind my business. All right.
Watch this. Stay with this.
Reacting without reasoning makes every situation worse.
Pause. Reaction without reasoning makes every situation, and it say some. Every situation, not most. Reaction without reasoning makes every situation worse. Mind you, go back to the biological impulses. Keep going.
Consider a common scenario that I've seen countless times. A coworker slights a project you're leading in a meeting. Instinctively, you hit back with a comment that undermines them or their work. You didn't make a conscious choice to respond, you just did it. Before you even know what's happening, the damage is done. Not only does the relationship suffer, but the meeting goes sideways.
Now keep going.
Too much energy is then consumed getting you back to where you were.
So, keep going. Just keep going.
The relationship needs to be repaired. The derailed meeting needs to be rescheduled. You might need to talk to the other people in the meeting to clear the air. And even after all of this, you might still be worse off than you were before. Every witness and every person they talked to about what happened received an unconscious signal that eroded their trust in you.
Okay, trust is the pipeline that moves money from one hand to the other. So you got in a meeting and you had a debate because you was offended. And as you took off of that meeting and you disrupted that meeting and you pissed that person off, and everybody's like even though that person could be wrong, but it's the way you approached it because you didn't think, you reacted without reasoning. Right? Or you'd even ask a question and say, hey, where are you coming from? Can I gain some clarity? Nikki Haley, what do you mean there's no racism in America? Right? You didn't ask that question first. And so but because you took off right away and you allowed their passive aggressive to control your outcome, you take the reputation of not being trustworthy in leadership. Now you've been working in this company for 15 years, they never gave you a promotion. You're like, I don't understand what I work hard. I'm the smartest person in the room. There's small impulsive things that you're doing daily or monthly or yearly that's undermining your own freaking career.
That's why you have to be in observation mode and not justification mode.
Wait. That's a Jesse Jackson classic. Can you know one more time? Jesse Jackson, I know you're older right now. Just perk up for 1 second and hear what he got to say.
Yeah, you got to be in observation mode, not justification mode.
I say.
Which means if you're always looking for ways to justify your behavior, then what will end up happening is you'll always be in the fine line of perfection. Nothing you can do is wrong. Can't nobody tell you nothing because you got justification for your behavior. But if you're in observation mode, then you can look back and say, was that the best thing to do or the best thing to say? Human beings is cold. We can be cold. We can when we're in justification mode, it is surprising how cold you could be. Have you ever had a traumatic experience happen in your life, and then later on in life, you see, say, a person who exhibited that same behavior in someone else, and they got, say, killed, or they got their ass beat, and you said, well, that's what they get. Or, well, good, we're glad. You know how gangster that is? But when you in justification mode, you can be gangster as all gangsters get. It's because behavior when you react from that biological side, that what he's talking about, that's carnal. That's carnal. That's survival. That's live or die. That's kill or be killed. So then that's why you can be so sweet and so, let me step over that because I don't want to eat that animal that's organic, and you mistreated that animal in the pasture, so I'm not going to eat that kind of chicken. And then you can say, well, good, glad he got killed. Shit, they deserved it. That bully got beat up. That bully got killed. Oh, good. He deserved that shit. It's because biological mind is not rational.
Read that last sentence.
Rebuilding that trust takes months of consistent behavior.
So you have caused damage in an impulsive moment, but they have to spend months repairing an impulsive bad decision. Think about that. You make this one impulsive reaction that you didn't even know was impulsive, and you're about to spend the next 3 to 4 or 6 months trying to repair it. Think about how much you set yourself back. Is that shit cold? Some of y'all are walking around talking about, I don't understand why people don't mess with me. I don't understand why people don't support my business. I don't understand why people don't invest in me. I don't understand why people don't give me real feedback. There's impulsive things you've done in a moment, destroyed your feedback loop. It's destroyed your support. It's destroyed alignment. Like, 510 Media got here because there's, first of all, shout out to black women, because black women ride for 510 Media like no other human being on this earth. But people who that don't sit in the office with 510 Media, because of the way we move, fight for us outside of 510 Media. Tennille's seen it happen since she's been with us. You need to work with. You should talk to. You should. I hear this all the time, right? But that comes from compounded behavior from the members of 510 Media showing up a certain kind of way. How we show up matters. How you talk to everybody matters. How you give back matters. Okay, there's always somebody in this room. I promise you, Josh, I will get you. Next slide, please.
All the time and energy you spend fixing your unforced errors comes at the expense of moving towards the outcome you want.
Read that one more time for those who just, because you have that beautiful New York accent.
Oh,
so
I know it's dope.
So you might have some Southern folks that can't see the beauty of your language. Can you eloquently just use that beautiful voice and say it one more time?
Now I'm trying not to talk.
You can't. It's beautiful. It's actually beautiful. Go ahead.
All the time and energy you spend fixing your unforced errors come at the expense of moving towards the outcome you want.
All the time. All the errors you're making from being impulsive, it comes at the expense of outcomes of what you want. Keep going.
There is a huge advantage in having more of your energy instead go towards achieving your goals instead of fixing your problems.
Okay, read that one. Can y'all understand? Can y'all hear this? Can y'all see how powerful this is? Say it one more time.
There is a huge advantage in having more of your energy instead go towards achieving your goals instead of fixing your problems.
So your impulsive behavior ends up stealing most of your energy from moving forward, and most of your energy is used towards fixing your problems. So yeah, you're working hard every day, but most of the stuff is repairing the problems that you created from your impulsive responses. You see how cold that shit is? That means you're a good person, you're an intelligent person, but you haven't learned the difference between your animal instinct and your rational thinking. Go ahead.
The person
No, Court. I was saying Court.
Oh,
I was just thinking, this is why it's so important to have friends around you that don't support that bullshit. Reason being, reason being is if I come and say, man, I cussed that lady out because she told me X, Y, and Z. To any of my friends, they're going to start asking me a series of questions. What happened? What was a friend? What's the relationship to you and your business? How important is she to the business? What was the situation? And more than likely, it's going to be like, man, that's a problem. Don't do that. You messed up.
Yep.
If you have a circle of people around you that justifies that behavior with you, they egging you on. Like, I know you. Listen, I know what you did. I would have did the same thing. Or you got halfway through the conversation with what they said. As soon as they told you the stimulus, you was like, "What? Okay, I know you just you in the wrong circle. You in the wrong circle."
Yes.
Because all you guys gonna do is perpetuate that behavior and go down that same spiral rabbit hole together.
Now, Coach Gina.
The person who learns how to think clearly ultimately applies more of their overall effort towards the outcomes they want than the person who doesn't.
So this is what separates you in the race. The person who doesn't understand and control their animal instinct and their impulses, you guys could take off with the same level of intelligence, same amount of resources. The first year, y'all might just be like it might be a slight advantage. But 5 or 10 years from now, the other person will be way up here. And this is what you're going to say, Mr. Cat Williams. He ain't as funny as me. You're right. And you're going to make a hell of an argument in your rational space. But the public can't see the impulsive side of your behavior. It can't see the impulsive people who engage you, or their impulsive brand that preceded you that caused me to position myself a certain way with you that I didn't position myself the same way with you. Y'all see how cold this is? I'm tapping into that Cat Williams space for a reason. Because everybody jumped on that, oh, that's not fair. And you're taking hindsight rationalization and not seeing that if he made enough impulsive decisions, he or she, Taraji, could compromise their own performance. Mm-hmm. This is a hard one to stomach, but this is something that all of us are going through every day. And then we find a big ass crowd of people, millions of people want to tune in and be like, I'm with you, my brother. Let me show you another animal instinct that's going to fuck you up. Excuse me, beep. Little late on that one, little late, but we're going to work on ourselves. But it's going to mess you up. Here's another one's going to mess you up. You know why you find stories like that attractive? It's animal instinct. You know what animal instinct you playing out there? It's the princess versus the dragon. And what happens is, as soon as you turn somebody into a dragon, by the way, the princess doesn't have to show accountability, or she doesn't have to show, not autonomy. She doesn't have to show autonomy, right? All she has to say, she's a princess. And as long as she's a princess, you want to slay the dragon. You don't want to ever say, what did the princess have to do with it? Or what could the princess did different? Why did the princess leave the castle? Could the princess train herself on killing dragons like the other princesses did? Why did she train? Right? No, she didn't. You're not going to say that. What you're going to say is, oh my God, that evil dragon. You know the news sets that story up for you every time? Here's a dragon, here's a princess. Police is a dragon, black folks is a princess. Jews a dragon, Palestinians a princess. I'm not trying to have you, because it's not about picking sides. I'm saying pay attention to the way the media sets up these conversations. And what happens is no one ever examines a princess. Do you know that's innate? That's innate biological behavior. So then when I tell you, hey, I've been wronged by all these people, you're going, all these dragons around you. How dare them kill this beautiful princess? Not realizing the princess has been jeopardizing himself by impulsive decisions they can't see innocently. So they're not dumb, they just can't see it. They're not bad people. Nobody's bad here. One thing you learn in business, you get away from that good versus bad people, right versus wrong.
Absolutely.
That has no value, because all of us can fall on both sides of that fence at all times. Your goal is to just see the play. If you can see the play, you know how to position yourself and make your move. It's not about, get away from, because once you get into that judgment, you're going to find yourself, you should be going to the east, and now you're just stuck on the east because you got this emotional commitment to the east when all the game is happening in the north, right? You got to learn to say, okay, I still love Cat Williams, or I don't like it, whatever, I don't care. That's irrelevant. You got to see what's the play happening here. And you'll say, I can't make a judgment. Otherwise, you're sitting in a meeting right now in Hollywood. You're negotiating a contract, and you're like, yeah, these evil people. That's already in the back of your head. And you're poisoning every interaction you have, every tension moment you have with them is already poisoned because you already formed an opinion. When, as opposed to you saying, hey, I want to ask questions on both sides and learn about how this works. And also, did Cat Williams have options I'm not aware of?
Hey, I used to be super like not a fan of the police, right? There's another term that I used to use, but we're not gonna say that here.
Yeah.
Not a fan of the
NWA.
police.
Yeah.
One of my good friends became a police officer. Now I see the world differently, right? I call him and check on him. You good, bro? Yeah, I'm good. Periodically, I hit him. Now I see views on like police's side and like issues they have, and I hear stories from him that gives me more empathy about police officers and like how shortage, how much of a shortage it is, and they just trying to get home to feed their family. I'm so well educated now that I can see both sides. But it took a friend becoming a police officer for me to get to that point. But in business, we don't got the luxury a lot of times. We got to be thinking like that all the time, and every moment on either side, because we may be jockeying for this side, but our customers are here. What happens over here? What happens when your enemies become your customers? Ooh, and that happens more times than you think.
So at the end of the day, I want you guys to know that a lot of the friction that happens in your life is not, we all set off on the same path. Okay, Steve Harvey made it here. For you to say, well, this other comedian is funnier, that's not all the variables that guarantee your success. You can have the best product in the market and you still not the most successful person. Mm-hmm. You can have the best customer service and still not the most successful person because your bathrooms are dirty. It's just that simple. You had great service. Like, for example, people forget, who's most important? The chef or the janitor? Ooh. Huh? Ooh. Neither, they equal.
They're equal.
They're equal. If the place stink and you trying to eat some food, that food ain't good. Right? And if the place is clean and the food don't taste good, you still ain't coming in. To the customer, they're equal. They're equal.
They're equal.
Ain't that a cold game? They're equal. You don't get to be dirty and can make me a good plate and think I'm about to eat that food. Go ahead, Kosh, go ahead.
Okay, now it's 2 points with that first one you just said. The first point I was thinking is with regard to this point, going back to Keith Lee, the fact that when he first announced he was coming to the Bay, the whole conversation was around, don't get bit, put your head on the swivel, watch your back. He was primed already to come here and see problems. Mm-hmm. When he found the problems, they were like, why are you coming to Oakland calling out problems? Because that's what you put in his head before the food was even on the table. Right? So it's this exact thing right here. The other point I want to say to what you just said, I almost feel like I would ask to re-examine the point about the janitor, because in the right environment, clean, inviting, the music is right, the crowd is right, that bad food is good because you're selling the experience. Yeah, it sure is. It is. That's why a lot of these people are still in business, because that food is not good, but the environment is fun.
Well, first of all, food is good is subjective, right?
That too.
But even there's still a point where if a chef, because if the pricing and the chef certain kind of pricing and that bathroom stinks, you trash. Or vice versa, if the place is really clean, the chef is just horrible. Like, both sides have a responsibility equal to the success of the business. Once you start trying to rank one above the other, that's because you think about what gives you emotional highlight. Pay attention to what I'm saying here. But if you're running that business, if I'm running that business, I'm paying attention to my cleaning. It's just as equal to paying attention to my chef. If one of those two compromise, I'm going to lose customers. I might not lose you, but I'm going to lose her. I can't play that game. I got to keep both of y'all. We're not playing a 1 year, one. It's just, I don't get the privilege of saying, hey, why did you leave me? Well, why did you leave me? Oh my God, you would leave me for that? That's stupid. You don't get to say that. Mm-hmm. They gone. Mm-hmm.
And the outliers of, well, I go to that spot in San Francisco at 4 a.m. when the club lets out and they got roaches and it be packed. That's an outlier because people expect it. You've been to that. I've been there too. Yeah. People expect it. They know, and it ain't no other options. You got zero options. And so, just like there's babies being born every day and there's people dying every day, which the math equals there's a certain amount of new people in this world every single day. There's attrition, right? But in business, you don't want to play that dying game. Like, you want to have your conversion rate be high and your customer turnover rate be super, super low. So I can't afford to lose. Like, people will come for different reasons. So I can't afford to lose you for one particular reason and try to gain you for a particular, because I haven't got you yet.
And repeat business is everything. Go ahead. Also, repeat business, Kaja, leaves room for competition to come take your customer. Like if you get lazy in any of those two areas, you're leaving room for competition. Always remember, no one colonializes a market, right? When you create a new product in a new market, that's why people say, they stole my idea, because you just didn't execute it well. If you take an idea and you run that idea into the dirt, you leave no room for nobody else, right? What happens sometimes, we start an idea, but we execute it poorly, and then somebody comes along and execute it better. Or you create a new idea, but you price it wrong, you present it wrong to the market, and innovation comes along and snatches it right from you. Go ahead.
I guess I had a comment on the janitor and the chef.
Mm-hmm.
So as a chef, you can't be a good chef if you don't have a janitor. Like if you don't have that support, it's integral.
Mm-hmm.
And so like a lot of these things I see they're integral in, we get to rate things. You can't function at a certain level if you don't have all of the elements. So they're all cogs in the wheel.
Yes, absolutely.
So that begs another question. Who's most important, your highest paying client or your lowest paying client?
All of them, because they all have.
You don't know. You don't know. You never know.
Yeah, well, because you never know where your referral is coming from. So every person that walks through your door.
Anybody that comes to that door is valuable to you.
Valuable equally. Why? Because the lowest paying client might be testing you. They may become your highest paying client 2 orders away. And they may be just doing a test order to see how you deliver. That happens a lot.
Or my uncle got money. He's running a company.
Yeah.
And as I'm at the Thanksgiving dinner talking about it's the most amazing experience I ever had. All of a sudden, Uncle says, let me give them a call, give them a shot. And it starts the process rolling. Ty?
One of my clients, just to be totally honest, is a pain in my ass.
Pause. Mm-hmm.
Every day, there's something.
He's watching.
He knows he's a pain in my ass because I told him. But what he's also done is he's referred me over to corporate clients. He's one of my smallest now. But when I was talking to Court last week, I told him, I eat what I kill now, right? And it's because of that client who's been a pain in my ass for the last, 7-8 years.
Mm-hmm.
So time for pauses.
It's rolled over, and he's actually made me more money than I've made from him.
Mm-hmm.
But that's some of my
works.
Some of my worst clients were some of my best who gave me referred me to some of the best. They were some of my best salespeople, yeah. And so at the end of the day, it's like, once again, and think about it, if your impulse response to that client, you killed off that opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
I just want you to pay attention to this impulsive game. And so, but in hindsight, when you tell the story, you use your rational hindsight analysis. I did everything right. I worked hard every day. I study every day. I take class every day. I don't understand why I'm not blowing up, because your impulsive is not within that margin of everything you described.
Mm-hmm.
They're just split moments here and there, spread out. That's compromising everything you're doing. Your biological animal is killing off your rational goals.
Yo, have you ever had a game plan of how you were going to handle a situation? And you're like, I'm not going to wild out. I'm not going to wild out. I'm going to keep I'm going to keep it together. We're going to have a conversation. And that person gets in your face and you throw it all out the door and you lose it on them. And the person you said it to was like, I thought you wasn't going to wild out. And you're like, man, look, I don't know what happened. I just saw it and went crazy. And I say that to say this is going to be a lifelong journey. Like, we not sitting up here saying we even got 20% of it down. We know it, we're working on it, and you're going to be working on it for the rest of your life.
It's critical.
For the rest of your life.
You got to be so attentive to small things. When you learn this game, you're going to talk about small stuff more. It won't always be just a big, you'll say, why do we drink Fiji water? You'll say something like that one day, and it become a full-out blown conversation because you have to start examining the small things. Those of you are used to only focusing on highlights, whether you talk about only the highlights, you only focus on highlights, but if there's no highlights, you're just going to chill and whatever happen. You're not getting the practice in, so when it does happen, you're ready to get to work. So that's why if you sat between me and Mashama on a plane trip, you'd be like, did these fools talking about the string come out that fucking piece of material? God damn. Because we're paying attention to like patterns and feelings and emotions and how we're processing the space. And so then we're more aware of what might happen in a scenario, and we start saying, what tools do I need to use right away to position myself so I can win? Because I need to win all my interactions to be successful. I gotta have a high probability. I gotta be like 90-10, not 50-50. 50-50 is not good. 50-50 means I'm just going in a circle like this. Win, lose, win, lose, win, lose. God damn. It's disgusting. Next slide.
You have little hope of thinking clearly, though, if you can't manage your defaults.
So let me talk about your defaults. This is who I am. When this happens, you know how I get down. You know this gets on my nerves. I don't know why y'all fucking with me. You know how I respond to this. I've always been like this. I was raised like this. 40 years ago, my mama said this to me, and I ain't never changed. I just want to say that again. 40 years ago, my mama says that to me, and I ain't never changed. I want you to hear the words 40 years ago, right? You created all these defaults in your behavior, and you're not tacking your defaults on your free time. All your defaults got to be movable. Let me say this again. All your defaults in this business game got to be movable. Otherwise, your defaults are under. You are a highly educated Harvard graduate still moving in the hood. You ain't broke your defaults. Now, you might say, well, no, I don't live in the hood. Your bank account lives in the hood. Ooh. Let's keep it real. Right? Because you can't get past your defaults. You got to move those defaults out the way. That means everything about you has to be movable. And that means it's work. You can't just say, I'm going to move this default and it's just going to move. I'm going to will it away. No. You can't even chant it away. Now, that may be part of it. It's going to be a long process. This man meditates for a reason. My cycle is my form of meditation, right? There's a lot of stuff I'm working on myself all the time that's not even being cued. These things are things that you don't even know is a problem. I just know that when the right time happens, that's going to be a problem.
Yo, check this out. If you don't learn how to manage your defaults, there are people who spend millions of dollars every year to manage it for you. So you think about it. You talking about herd animals. You talking about herd animals? You literally will be moving through this world, through this earth, under the control of other people's hands because you don't know how to manage your own defaults. There's a casino right on the outskirts of Vegas, right? It's not open to the public. You know why? Because it is a learning tool because all the casinos, they pay scientists millions of dollars to run that casino so that they can continue to tweak human behavior and make it more addicting for you. You don't even know it. They operate on a formula. There's 3 steps of the formula that they operate on. Is that there has to be an opportunity there. There has to be unpredictable wins and easy repeatability, which creates addiction that you don't even know. You don't even realize. And when it comes to, and they use that same formula when it comes to scrolling on social media, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. What they do, there's an opportunity. You can make some money on it, all those platforms. Unpredictable wins. You can get 5 likes or 500 likes, and easy repeatability, which creates addictions. And if you ain't working on this, 5 years from now, this world is going to look fucking crazy. And the leaders and the entrepreneurs are going to be the ones that stand out because we are working on managing our defaults, the space between stimulus response. Just because you do it and he don't mean that he don't want to too. Don't mean that I don't want to too. It just means, damn, you work on this, whatever it is, whether that's meditation, bike, cycling, whatever it is, all you're doing is working on spreading that space out enough to where you can get in and be like, okay, chill. I'm not gonna call this dude back till tomorrow because I'm furious right now. Like it's imperative.
And here's the thing. I want you to look at that sentence one more time. You have little hope of thinking clearly. That means you have little hope of controlling your life if you can't control your defaults. You're losing control. You think white people take away your control of your life? And if you don't control your defaults, they go to bed at night. You're going to take care of it for yourself. Ain't nobody worried about you. You think men take away your life, women? You think women, for these softer brothers, you think women take away your life for you men? That's because you haven't figured out your default. It's you. It's nobody else. It's nobody else. Look, man, there's 1 billion people on the earth. Everybody don't need to like you. Get over it. Everybody don't need to like you. Look, if you just get 1,000 people to roll with you, life is going to be amazing. Out of 8 billion people, that's such a small, you can't even see 1,000. And if you had $8 million in your house, which thank you, amen, and $1,000 came up missing, your accountant couldn't even save you on that one. That's how hard it is to see $1,000 out of $8 billion.
Well, Tanil got 500 of it.
Yeah. You know, she's like, oh man, why you gonna bring that up? That's old news. Next slide.
I had to. She got it back that day. She's a black woman. She gonna get it back.
Go ahead.
There's nothing stronger than biological instinct.
So wait a minute, say it again. Listen here, y'all. Yeah. This is critical.
That's real.
This is so, okay, I'm gonna share a funny story. Back about 15 years ago, my wife, when we first met, she's like, yo, you know, your business is new. We should move to Atlanta. I said, no, we won't be together. She said, why? Babe, I don't have that kind of resistance power. I don't have that. I can handle Oakland because I know everybody. But you give me Atlanta, hey, y'all notify me every time. Yeah, we knew you'd be
Magic City.
Magic, you mean not a city because that's how often I go. Go ahead. But that's a real story though. But go ahead.
I'm not mad at you.
Hey, I'm just keeping this stuff real. Y'all look at it. Y'all but deal with
Keep
yourself.
it 100.
Yeah,
Did you still want me to
1,000.
repeat that sentence?
You said what?
Did you still want me to repeat that sentence?
No. Yeah, go. Just start from they control us. Okay. Oh, yeah, they control us.
They control us often without us even knowing.
So your instincts are controlling you without you even knowing. This is no exaggeration. I'm not trying to scare you. It's real. Your instincts are making hella decisions all day long that when you finally respond to the instinct, you think you rationalize that shopping or that time you did this or that time you did that when your instinct had already made the decision before you even engaged yourself. So you think you're making a decision, but your brain and your body had already negotiated where it was going to go, and then your brain kicked in and said, oh, hey, this is why we're doing it.
Man, it's so true. I might ruffle a little feathers, but this is some real shit, and this is a scientific study.
Ruffle them damn feathers.
Did you know that a lot of times the mate that a woman chooses depends on the trauma that she was affected as a child? The mate that she chooses, and in her mind, that person's handsome, good looking. And their rational mind is telling them all these qualities. It has nothing to do with that. A lot of the times, most of it comes from instinct, trauma instinct, which is survival. So if you felt super unprotected as a child, you're gonna find the most protective man you can find. The biggest, buffest, most protective person you can find.
All right, girls, I'm taking. Let's stop that. Let's stop talking about me. Anyway, go ahead. You said biggest buff. I thought you. Well, I mean, come on, man. You know, if you want to change subjects, just change subjects if y'all want to. Go ahead.
But it shows you how powerful that it is that we think rationally that we're choosing because this and the job, and most of the time it comes down to biological trauma. 100%. Same with guys. Same with men who we pick. It depends on our relationships with our mama and the trauma that we was affected, the amount of nurturing that we got as a child. 100%. And as much as we will try to justify why we're not attracted to that or why we are attracted to that, it's biological. That's how powerful it is.
That's not true. That's trust me, I know that shit's true. I promise you, it's so cold. It's just because marriage is for me. Yeah, go ahead. Just keep going. Failing? Go ahead. Failing. Go ahead.
Failing to come to terms with them only makes you more susceptible to their influence.
So if you don't come to terms with your default behavior, you're gonna unconsciously find yourself compromised by them all the time. So I used to have this rule: if I'm dating some woman and her friend comes over and she ain't there, you gotta wait outside till she get here. I'm not gonna find out if I'm a slip. I don't need to find that out. Hey, a 30-year-old man, a 30, 40-year-old man, you know what instinct is driving us? We're in reproduction stage. That's why, like, when you got, okay, children act different when they go into reproduction stage. When everybody starts saying it's time for me to reproduce, that's why when y'all raise teenagers, like, I can't deal with this teenager. You don't realize biologically their body is saying it's time to reproduce. So they have a lot of instinctual thing that's driving their logical thinking.
Sneaking out.
And they're trying to tell you what it is. They can't even explain it. They can't even explain it, right? And it's not that morality stuff will have you fucked up, because then you saying this, you doing the should. Well, you should be like, no, you shouldn't be doing shit. Once you understand what human beings do, okay, me and Josh was having a conversation. Once again, if you look at human beings and how we, like, if you look at the history of slavery and some of the things they really did to black people, your stomach can't take. Or what they did to Jews in Jerusalem in October 7th, your stomach can't take this stuff, right? If they get to the real details. That is human shit, though. That is human. I'm not saying it's a good part of us, but it's part of our instinctual part of us. Depending on how you trigger us and how we show up to that space, we can do some things that can blow your mind. So if you're running a business and you're trying to work with the public, your morals ain't got no place in this game. You got to understand how human beings move, because sometimes your morals are trapped in this cultural limited way of seeing the world. So your lens is like this thin. So in a sense, it's like, as a man, if I'm 30 years of age, and a pretty girlfriend, your girlfriend has all pretty friends. And she's like, can I come in the house? And you know women, y'all can play that innocent shit y'all want to. And I go in the bedroom, you just walk in behind me, you sit down, I'm like, oh damn, I didn't know you were sitting like that, girl. Right? And then she'd be like, I wish you wasn't with my friend, because you know me, I would. What? And when you're 30,
what?
That is called bait. I'm biting. I'm trying to get that worm on. I'm gonna get this one, girl. Pause, no worm. Pause. I'm gonna get that bait. I'm gonna get that bait. Right? I gotta clean that up. I get that bait. Boy, stop that.
Ashley, she about to fight. She ready to fight.
But am I lying? I'm saying to you, if you that's why if you go back into old black culture, there was hella rules of what you could and could not do. These rules have slipped because you think we lost sight of human behavior, and we got caught in this idea that we could just be whatever we want to be because we feel that way, not realizing that the human behavior will override that when time comes.
Stop. You playing this morality game. You know the real.
Yeah.
You know the real.
Come on, man. I wish you could put on glasses that allowed you to walk down the street and see people in their houses at nighttime. The animal was behaving, not the rational actor.
Yeah.
And so you got to know just between the rational actor and the animal in the real world. And if y'all be so surprised, like sometimes y'all see beef on television, y'all be like, oh, why they beefing? They good friends. They should. You don't know the animal behavior behind the scenes.
Yo, I talked about this last week. I had a friend of mine go behind one of my clients and try to steal him from me. Hey, how much is court charging you? I could do better. I'm not mad. I ain't tripping. That's business.
Animal instinct.
And it's an instinct to override certain rules when your animal instinct starts acting up. Same with human behavior, betrayal, sexuality, attraction. All those things is real. And if you ignore them or act like they don't exist, then you'll end up being hijacked by them and undermined by them because you're not paying attention.
Okay, now I have a question. Okay, what if you find yourself like wrestling with animal instinct? Let's say like attraction or whatever. So I want to know from y'all, because I'm sure you've found yourself in this space. Like, what are some things you can do? Because you want to be rational, right? But then you also have that animalistic side to you.
But you got to train. We train our defaults on our free time. So in our free time, we're working on our defaults.
Get out my business.
Like. She's like, oh, business. Okay, but the thing is that we work on our defaults all the time, or we learn our weaknesses and we build a relationship with our weaknesses, right? It's not just the sexual. I'm talking about all kind of animal instinct that kicks in just a simple conversation and how you kind of, ruffle your feathers and cut things short, or you dismiss certain people, or you look at somebody like they're valuable and dismiss the other person in the room. A lot of these are animal instinct things that are happening, right? Where you go on the weekend. A lot of that stuff is animal instinct, right? So once you know what that is, and you got to spend time discovering self. That's why know thyself is a cold game. Once you discover yourself, you'll realize, okay, I will never do this. That compromises me. I can't. I'm cool with that, right? Like there's certain things as a male who grew up as a hunter, I can't put myself in those compromised positions because I'm only so strong. I don't care. And here's the thing, my brain tells me I'm very strong. You can overcome anything. But I learned about my animal side. The animal side said, you try me if you want. So now I say, you know what? I'm gonna tell the animal side. I respond to the animal side in this situation, and I respond to the rational side. And here's the other thing: when I see my people and I see customers, I know how to talk to you based upon your animal in you. You would think your rational is protecting you, and I'm speaking to your animal, and it got you every time. Forgive this language because pimping to me is one step above a pedophile. So I don't believe in pimping. But the manipulative game that came from that, all I was doing was talking to the woman's animal and bypassing her rational and getting what I want. That's all I ever did when I was growing up when I was younger. And it was so crazy successful. I'm talking about just a dating game, right? It was so successful, even in my own relationship, if my wife is having some issues with me, I'm listening to it. Is she talking to me from my animal side? Or is she talking to me from a rational side? And sometimes she's having an animal, she's trying to give me this rational discussion. I say, baby, is it just this? Yeah, okay. I knew it was. That's why you have to be able to see the both. Sometimes your customers give you a complaint and you look at your Yelp and you have to respond to the Yelp and it's really this animal thing you missed, right? So this is why I'm doing this, not just for you to have a moral come to Jesus, because we're going to be working on this for a long time. Today, if this is your first discovery, now you realize you need to set a new journey. And in this, as you grow, benefits are returned to you because you start to clear the path of the direction you're trying to climb. You get where I'm going with this? So this is not a like, don't get into this like, am I good or bad? You're wasting all your mental energy. It's like, okay, you all got animal behavior. All of us in this room, nobody, even Christian Kaja, all of us are going along the same. We all got that animal in us. All of us got that animal in us. And if you tap her animal, at some point that animal comes, and her animal is different. Mind you, there's different parts of her animal she has less control over and more she has more control over, right? But all parts of her animal is vulnerable at some point. All of us.
Yo, let's keep it 100. We mostly adults in here, right? So we all have shadow sides to us. So if I opened up every one of y'all's closet and you opened up mine, you'll see all kind of skeletons and all kind of stuff.
I mean, cars fall out the closet.
Some more than others, right? But that's what adults do when you live in life and you're going through this journey of life, right?
Yeah, some of it's fun.
And that's how.
Hey, I'm sorry. I got lost in my thoughts. Sorry, y'all go ahead.
And to keep it 100. Yeah, and to keep it 100, we're not meant to be perfect on this earth. We ain't angels. This ain't no moral class. This is about how we can be the best versions of ourselves. First thing to do is to acknowledge that. If you hide from it or ignore it, then it's going to control you in ways and times that the biology is going to kick in inconvenient times. That's just how it is. I don't know if you ever been around somebody who they have a lack of control and they start talking about sexual shit around you and you just met them. It's like, yo, that's not appropriate. I don't know you. That's because they haven't been working on managing.
Josh.
That's a low blow.
Pause. Go ahead.
Okay, all right. Right. But or anything or other stuff like we humans, and so in order for us to get to the goal, we have to have the least amount of distractions, right? So you got to have a goal first because the goal gives you the leverage. Thing number 2 to me is what things can I can be out of my way the most? What can I just be out of the way of? So I don't even put myself in them situations as much as possible.
Absolutely.
That's a hitter for me, because then if I don't see it, out of sight, out of mind, I'm busy, I'm rocking and rolling. So I try my best to keep myself busy in my purpose.
Yeah.
That's my goal.
Yes.
Busy in my purpose. So there's websites and shit that I have on my laptop. I have an app called Self-Control. And I put all the websites that I don't even want to be, when I'm in the space of control, I put all the websites in there, boom, and it'll keep me from there for 30 to 60 days. I can't even go to them. So when I pop my laptop open, it's all work. So some things is about how do I curate my world so that it's not an issue for me. The rest is, you got to be able to manage your dark sides and your dark sides and your shadows in a way that it does not compromise your purpose and where you're going.
Yes.
That's it.
Let's finish this slide. Let's finish this slide before we go. It's gonna be our last slide. Let's finish this slide so we can go home because it's 9:15. Okay. Because it's tapping more into what Cord just said. Keep going on the slide.
If you're having trouble understanding why you sometimes react to situations in the worst possible way.
So you're like, why do I always acting? Why do we acting the worst? And we all know this, right? Like, why did I go off? Why am I mad? Why am I sensitive? Why I just disconnected from this person? Why am I hoarding? Why did I go with, like, join my crew? Why do I always believe these stories on the internet? Why I can't stop scrolling the internet? Like, all this shit, right? Keep going. The problem?
The problem isn't your mind.
This is why I keep telling you guys you're not stupid. You're not ignorant. Your animal instinct has too much dominance in your life, but you're not ignorant. This is why a lot of times people do something like that. What is wrong with me? I'm like, you're not ignorant. Don't focus on that part of your mind. Keep going.
Your mind is doing exactly what biology programmed it to do.
It's doing exactly. You're doing animal shit. You're an animal. That's why, real quick, I'm going to go out on a limb. The poorer people are in America, the more the animal side rules. When you find large poor communities, they have a dominance of responding to their animal behavior. We all do as human beings, but they're more dominant. And you can even tell by the conversations. Once you learn how to hear this, you'll be able to hear the difference. If you haven't been trained on to hear the animal side of ourselves talking, you won't know what that is, because we're gonna get into like the different. This subject is gonna run for about 2 or 3 months because we're gonna keep diving deeper. So I'm gonna give you so much ownership of animal behavior. You'll be able to say, oh, the reason everybody bought tickets to that concert because they did this and it triggered the animal behavior. You'll see the patterns unfolding right in front of you. You'll be in a barbershop and watch certain discussions unfold and go, okay, I disagree, but it's not worth me arguing with them because they're growling at each other. They're having an animal discussion. They're not using the rational side of their brain. So it's not for me to attack them and demonize them, because once you can see it, it's not meant for you to become superior. It's meant for self-control and learn how to navigate through the world, not judgment of anybody. Because there's going to be a time when you're going to be in an animal space and I'm going to see you, right? And I'm going to have the same patience for you. Your employees are going to choose animal behavior and they're still your employees. Your children are going to show their animal behavior, they're still your children, and vice versa. So what I'm just trying to explain to you is that this is not a moral superiority, because I know all of our brains are tempted, because that's part of our biological animal side of us is trying to push us towards, I feel more moral if I know this, right? No, you're not. It's just giving you navigation. It's increasing your navigation capabilities and your ability to see more. Keep going.
My slide stopped on my phone, so I'm going to read the back screen.
Oh.
Sorry. And I'm blind.
Okay.
Okay, sorry. My apologies. Technical difficulties.
Okay. So we got a reader. She's hanging out with Josh. You know how it goes. Okay, go ahead.
Act quickly and effectively.
I think you was at, where was that? Where were we at? Let's go. Just start from, if you're having trouble.
Beginning of that? Your mind?
If you're having trouble. Just have your trouble.
Okay.
Just let it flow. Yeah.
If you're having trouble understanding why you sometimes react to situations in the worst possible way, the problem isn't your mind. Your mind is doing exactly what biological programmed it to do. Act quickly and efficiently in response to threats without wasting valuable time thinking.
So your brain is designed to respond to possible threats. We're going to get to what those are as we go into this without thinking. You design. Think about this. If you had to think every time somebody was coming for you, you wouldn't be here today. Your species would be dead. Keep going.
If someone breaks into your house, you instinctively stand between them and your kids.
You don't go, should I stand between me and my kids? I mean, that's a badass kid. You know, you just jump in front of the kid, right? Go ahead. That's your ass kid.
If someone approaches you with a menacing expression, you tense up. If you sense your job is at risk, you might unconsciously start hoarding information. Your animal brain believes you can't be fired if you're the only one who knows how to do your job. Biology, not your rational mind, told you what to do.
You see what? So we're gonna go into this further because we're gonna pick up on this in 2 weeks because Corey's gonna start the beginning of another book. This is in Clear Thinking book. So this is era 1.1. We're gonna finish 1.1. And then we'll probably go to 1.2, and then we're going to break off into another book to discuss the press secretary. The press secretary is a cold part. This part of the book, of this, when we discuss the press secretary, this is the coldest game in the world. And when you understand the press secretary, you can understand when you ask certain questions, they can't answer it. There's questions I can ask you right now, you can't answer because your brain will never let you answer that question correctly. Never. And you will move in your business to avoid addressing it. Meaning that some of you will never look at your numbers or you won't look at your bank account because your press secretary will be threatened, right? So I'm gonna show you all these different, some of you are horrible with taxes because your press secretary has too much dominance. And until you learn these things, you're gonna fuck up until you won't be able to turn around until you're over penalized. And eventually you'll be like, fuck it, I'm gonna do it. But if you learn this now, you can know when you hit this point, your animal instinct is kicking in and it's trying to defeat you. And trust me, when your animal instinct wants to do something and you know something different, don't think it's just, if I ask you, give you an example, your brain always thinks you're better than you really are. And I ask you, in high school, you was good in basketball? You're like, yeah. If I pulled the stats and said you was trash in basketball, it would hurt your feelings for you to say, yes, I was. It'd be the hardest thing for you to ever say. Even though I got the facts, even though deep down inside you really process, you know you were, but your brain, your press secretary is already taking you it recreated the belief that you were great, even though you have no, as a matter of fact, your brain may even create stories and you're not even lying to me. You're not lying. How's your business doing? You're not lying to me when you say it's doing good. You know, you just made that up because your part of your brain is trying to protect you. So when we try to show you pull it apart, you're going to start seeing that when you go out in the public and you're talking to people, you're like, well, that's what they told me. I don't understand why they did this. The reason I can navigate different because I say, that's what they told me, and then I pause and I wait and look for actions, or I do my research and go, oh, okay, they were distorted. But when you get into good people versus bad people, oh, they lying to me. They trying to hurt me. And you don't realize, no, not only they can't do it, but sometimes you can't do it. Isn't that cold? We're going to get into a whole bunch of cold stuff. And when you start pulling the rational and the rational part of you and the animal instinct apart and separate the two, you're going to say, oh, wow, we're animals who have rational capabilities, but we're not rational animals. Big difference. And that means you have to learn to put the rational side in front of your animal instinct. Otherwise, if you're not practicing it, and I promise you most of y'all are not practicing it, I can promise you your animal instinct is your biggest barrier. Is that shit cold? I work on this shit all the time. I'm not even, not sometimes, not every once in a while. My introspection is often examining my animal instinct, and is this an animal instinct decision or is this a rational? This is why my circle matters. When I get in the space of doubt, like I know I feel this. That's why you say, I think because I felt like doing it. You're talking like an animal. What you have to say is, I felt like doing this. I feel like this is right. Now let me consult with people who are purely honest, brutally honest with me to help me separate my animal instinct from my rational decision. And if I don't have control of my rational decision, I'm never driving my ship to my destiny. I'm jumping on this animal instinct show. So I'm literally like a leaf in the wind, just floating wherever the wind blows me, and they go, I don't understand why I can't get where I want to go. At some point, you got to control your navigation system. So I'm going to pick up on this. This is going to be a 3-month theme, because as we break down the separation, I can't get into teaching you strategy if you don't understand some of the ways the brain works and how you have this inner war happening at all times. And it'll also stop you from pointing fingers at everything. It helps you with radical responsibility. Because then when you take radical responsibility, you can see these things. A lot of times when you're blaming everything around you, it's things your impulse created that you think other people are doing to you, but you created for yourself but through your impulses. Ain't that some cold shit? Some cold shit? That is cold as hell. All right, with that being said, as they said in Bangladesh, I'll see y'all next week.